Imagine one day you boot up your beloved computer and get an email titled recruitment. What would you do? If the company name is even Daydream, it's definitely a scam. But before the protagonist could do anything else, the online recruiter popped up and started improvising about their rank. Deng Deng was the first to speak. Daydream Corporation. What kind of company is that? Isn't that the company that sells super effective hair loss medicine, famous for its miraculous hair regrowth power? Ding Ding wasn't far behind and chimed in harmonizing. I heard they're a pharma company focusing on cosmetics and skincare. Instant results no matter how hard you dragons try. Just as the two finished their opening lines, the system exploded and flung the two cheerleaders aside with a big headline. It's not over yet. The ad headline, I wonder if they've been vetted by the Ministry of Industry and Trade, blared. We provide every medicine you could possibly need. And the next line was even cheesier than the last. We are a miraculous pharmaceutical company that creates panacea. But luckily that was the end of it, and the Ding Ding and Deng Deng duo took their final bow. See you at Daydream in the daytime. Of course they had to retreat to the wings, because the next moment belonged to the mic-wielding boss, and Kim T glittered under the stage lights, sparkling and radiant, but the rotten core of a recruitment scam couldn't be gilded over. You are the chosen candidates. Standing among the dozens of candidates, Kim Solium dazedly tried to sort the chaotic jumble of information in his head. Daydream Corporation, that's a name I know well. This company is said to be a miraculous pharma that can make anything, and his train of thought was cut off by Kim T's voice booming to the rafters. Today we have gathered the most outstanding rookies here. He didn't care whether the candidates actually needed the job, but still enthusiastically concluded. Congratulations, you've all been assigned to the Field Exploration Team. Meanwhile, the Daydream Field Exploration Team is one of 5 teams under the development department at Daydream Corporation, a colossal force in the ghost story universe, a doomed squad notorious as the company's Suicide Squad. Just that pure reputation was enough to send everyone into a panic. The Field Exploration Team. I've never heard of such a team before, me neither. Some even raised the blunt but lethal question. A pharmaceutical company needs a team like that. Kim Solium finally realized he'd stumbled into a real pyramid scheme. They actually organized a life-or-death game during orientation just to screen new hires. This is insane. Almost immediately, his feet followed his thoughts. I have to get out of here now. At that tense moment, Kim T's voice continued, but before you are officially hired, that vague tone quickly raised a slew of suspicions. What now? Kim Solium slammed the door in front of him, furious, and then heard Kim T's voice again. There will be a short probation assessment. This will be an assessment based purely on actual ability, naturally, to evaluate everyone fairly. Kim T excitedly snapped his fingers at the cup while never pausing. We will need everyone's enthusiastic participation, right? We will deal with anyone who intends to freeload. As soon as his words and gestures ended, darkness swallowed the place and everyone panicked again. Power outage. Why did the door just slam shut? I thought they were starting another presentation, but the guesser suddenly shifted to a more worried tone. Oh, sorry. Everyone's body suddenly lurched, as if gravity had been lost. Except for Kim Solium. Everyone staggered and fell left and right under the intense inertia gripping the place. After a few seconds of silence to let everyone recover, a ghostly announcement echoed through the space. Dear passengers, thank you for using the Abyss Transportation Agency's services today. This train will not stop at any stations. To ensure a pleasant journey to your final destination, please listen carefully to the following announcement. Everyone read the next station text on the board and couldn't help whispering to find more clues. What is this, a subway? Is this some kind of VR thing? Are we actually moving? Hey, why won't the doors open? Some even fancied up a novel scenario. Is this some advanced technology, or is it like one of those escape room games? Ignoring the surrounding colleagues' commotion, Kim Solium calmly dismissed everything in his head. This isn't advanced tech, and it's definitely not an escape room game. But he kept those thoughts to himself and let his mind drift into nothingness. Who could have predicted this mess? That looking for a job would drag me into this ridiculous nonsense. While that recruitment notice was supposed to be all shiny and legit, like an anti-drug poster from 2000, Daydream Corporation 20XX hearing publicly for the first half of the year. The indelible memory resurfacing, Kim Solium etched the name Daydream into his mind again. Even the misfortunate title hanging around his neck felt heavier than usual. The Field Exploration Team is into a life-or-death game. Kim Solium's unease finally paused as the announcement filled the carriage. This stop is Sorrow. His mind subconsciously repeated the fact, Sorrow Station. Then, without a flicker of hesitation, he strode straight out. In that moment, Kim Solium turned out to be the clearest-headed person there, having realized the bitter reality his new job entailed. I'm inside a ghost story. The same judgment came from the reminder voice, neither sad nor happy. Welcome to the Abyss Transportation Agency. The scene shifted back to the familiar, stifling urban landscape where Chiho trudged through it with a heavy mood. What a miserable walk home. I'm unusually tired today. With a hunched, gloomy gait, her inner mood was just as heavy. Once I'm home, I'll crash straight to sleep, and I still have to do laundry. Chiho's eyelids fought each other until she slipped into a hazy state. After dozing off like that, she woke to find herself inside a subway car. It looked like a normal commute, but Chiho jolted. Where am I? She took in the oddness around her and realized with a start that something was wrong. Even her vague thoughts knew that everything around her felt strangely encircling. Back with Kim Solium, he scrutinized the messy staff list and mused casually. It seems the company plans to filter new employees through this ghost story. The announcement over the speaker boomed again like a debt collector. This stop is Sorrow Station. Passengers whose final destination is Sorrow Station, please disembark according to the announcement's instruction. When this eerie train finally stopped, the speaker continued. The platform gates are open. But while everyone stood stunned, it added another threat. The doors will close in 30 seconds. There is no way back. Kim Solium stared at the flashing instruction board and muttered unconsciously, "Sorrow, is it?" Around him, curious people began running their mouths at full speed. It looks just like a normal subway station. Can't we get off here? They say the doors are about to close. Shouldn't we hurry and get off the train? The noise in my ears made Kim Solium internally exclaim, "Damn." And that Guak Yikwing next to him was unnaturally optimistic. Aside from the weird station name, everything looks normal though. He boldly placed his hand on the door and loudly declared, "I don't think we should step outside." Kim Solium unexpectedly felt a surge of goodwill and warned, "Did you hear them? That's Sorrow Station. There's no station name like that in Korea." Not only did Guak Yikwing strain to argue, but Zuhen next to him also chimed in, "No, I'm saying he's right. But will you take responsibility if we stay and something bad happens?" Before Kim Solium could retort, another conciliatory voice cut in, "Hey." The young man who'd appeared out of nowhere suddenly stood by him to remind everyone, "I think this person is right. First, let's wait and see how things unfold." No sooner had he finished than the speaker crackled through the space again. "The doors are closing." Someone who knows who led the dash and still left a piercing scream behind. "Hey, the doors are about to close. Just get off first." Despite sprinting like an Olympic runner, Dongsu still pressed his face against the cold door. He looked at Guak Yikwing and his crew lounging outside as sweat poured off him in waves. Dongsu pounded the door and sobbed in despair. Couldn't make it, damn. But instead of owning up, he flung the unlucky pot onto Kim Solium, son of a thank someone up there for that. Kim Solium heard it all clearly but didn't reply, his mind drifting off. "I get how they feel. They probably just want to drop everything and run." Suddenly, the signboard outside displayed rows of farewell text, blazing red like blood. Zuha had just gotten off with Guak Yikwing and glanced around nervously asking, "Do you think those left on the train will be okay?" He rubbed his aching neck and replied nonchalantly, "That's their choice, they'll figure it out themselves." Guak Yikwing didn't notice everything around him starting to melt, content to mock the unlucky ones on the train. Exactly, they should have gotten off when I told them. Standing there watching will only end badly later. But the next two words from him came out as limp as his body now. Zuha froze in horror at the change in Guak Yikwing's appearance. In the blink of an eye, everything, including the people around him, was dissolved by that eerie liquid. It took Zuha a long moment to find his voice, trembling as he asked, "What is that?" He didn't linger and spun around to run in the opposite direction. Finally, Zuha was smart for once, realizing something was coming from the ceiling. Something was rushing down from above. He ran shouting at the top of his lungs, "Something is dripping from the ceiling, help me." But that scream met the same fate and dissolved along with everyone else. It seemed even Kim Solium was aware of the catastrophic situation outside. He instinctively squeezed his eyes shut as a gesture of mourning for the unlucky soul. Yet it seemed from the start Kim Solium never intended to stop them. That's the fate of those who chose the wrong answer. And so, with the remaining people on the train, the new employee's probation period. Outside, that gooey liquid now reeked of the rusty smell of blood, while the train held firm like a bronze wall and slowly rolled away with the announcement, "The train is departing." To better understand this story, let's look into Daydream Corporation. Actually, this place has jurisdiction over darkness. In other words, darkness is just the ghost story. Daydream employees are sent into ghost stories to carry out missions. Naturally, new hires' probation also takes place inside a ghost story. So the announcements from this eerie train suddenly make a lot of sense. The train is departing from Sorrow Station. To ensure a comfortable journey to your destination, please please pay attention to the announcements. In a life or death survival situation like this, there will always be people who can't handle the pressure and scream like maniacs. What do we do now? Did someone just die for real? The reason Kim Solium can remain unfazed amid all this is actually simple. Honestly, I'm at an advantage over the other new hires because I've already binged that entire Ghost encyclopedia. Then everyone will ask the same thing. So won't you be fine? If you think that, you're like any other reader. People might assume that the typical overpowered protagonist who transmigrates into their favorite world has total info advantage and hogs all future opportunities and items. Kim Solium once dreamed that if he could be like that, it'd be amazing. But there's no such thing as a free lunch handed right into your mouth. There's only one problem. A fundamental problem that even Kim Solium is trapped by. He simply cannot stand scary stuff. On the outside, Kim Solium looks calm, but inside he's screaming a silent scream. Me, a ghost story. A subway. Me, the field exploration team. Me. Indeed, harsh reality proved Kim Solium is extremely cowardly. Text is fine. He can read it eagerly, thumbs up it with enthusiasm and shout, Kim Solium likes this. However, the moment it becomes an image, he's a total coward who can't bear it. The proof. The illustration knocked him out. Even when reading the encyclopedia, if a creepy background or soundtrack pops up, he'll cover everything and leave only the text. On video apps he taps, not interested on thumbnails. Even when he posts ghost stories himself, he can't include a single image. If a ghost argued a story needs images to be more appealing, Kim Solium would flatly retort, I'm sorry, but I'm too chicken to look at any ghost images. The stubborn ghost protested, I'm the ghost you wrote. Kim Solium, being even more stubborn, immediately shot back, I can't break my rule. Even his friends went crazy discussing this hot topic. Did Kim Solium really turn down tickets because she invited him to a horror movie for fear? Damn Kim Solium, your name means goosebumps and you can't even watch horror. He had no choice but to text back, do you want to die? The others read Kim Solium like an open book and responded perfunctorily, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. In despair, a reminder flashed in Kim Solium's head. Recall what was written in the encyclopedia. It turned out the field exploration team is a major force in the ghost story universe, one of 5 teams in Daydream's development division, a tragic unit also called the Suicide Squad. Kim Solium desperately enlarged the words Suicide Squad to max size, then painfully realized, I'm doomed. The number of survivors currently in this car is 8. Just then the speaker chirped again. Next station, Resentment. Resentment station. Doors open on your right. Kim Solium didn't even bother to lift an eyelid, only dazedly wondered, is it Resentment this time? He looked at the glittering box in his hand and silently made a wish in his head. Just kill me now. But the light from the box was too dazzling and still grabbed Kim Solium's attention. It turned out to bear an eye-catching, tempting inscription. First-class tangible gift box from the Ghost Story universe. Kim Solium blinked in puzzlement, repeated the words in his head. Ghost Story universe, tangible gift box. He immediately scanned the surroundings with his eyes and grew even more puzzled. Am I the only one who can see this? But opposite Kim Solium now was someone surrounded by people asking if he was okay. Are you all right? Slowly stand up. Kim Solium quickly touched that line of text with complete caution. Just stay silent and touch it without drawing attention. The stack of papers immediately whooshed into the air, as if a strong wind had blown through. Then Kim Solium instinctively raised his hand to catch the item that fell out of it. After examining the gift he received, he curiously blurted out, a phone stand, huh. Finally, Kim Solium recognized the familiarity of what he'd just gotten. This must be a souvenir from the Ghostverse, and it's the very one I bought. Time suddenly seemed snapped by Thano's fingers. It frantically ran backward to 15 hours earlier, when every digit on the clock was 0. Space itself warped, as if someone were recalibrating Seoul. A few hours earlier, a short, eerie voice echoed everywhere. Welcome, Explorer has stepped into the dark abyss. It turned out to be a mall, and the creepy voice was just a high school girl teasing her friend. Did I scare you? The girl who earlier looked ready to faint now had the nerve to snap back, so annoying. No one paid attention to the Doomsday Prophecy sign. The Ghostverse was flashing like a cursed banner above. Kim Solium accidentally walked by and realized it was a pop-up shop for that thing. The Doomsday Prophecy from the Ghostverse. It's an online ghost universe exploring various anomalous phenomena called the Darkness. And here, some fan had dived deeply into that universe. The cashier, seeing Kim Solium's overflowing basket, kindly suggested, would you like to buy a large tote bag to hold these souvenirs too? He agreed with her, yes, one please, thank you. But the people behind him couldn't help whispering, is he buying to resell? He's not a scalper, is he? Kim Solium carefully pulled his hood down lower and silently replied in his mind, I told you I'm buying them for myself. I even had to take annual leave to come here. To be clear, he wanted to add, actually I came last week too, but there was a lucky spin event. Out of office worker pride, Kim Solium swallowed it and skipped it. I couldn't make myself join that. Still, he's here now because passion pulled him, but the pop-up closes tomorrow, so if I don't play now. And then the staff poked her head out as she pushed. The spin event ends today. Would you like to join? For some reason, Kim Solium was possessed and crisply said yes. Thank you. The staff had her prize and walked away noticeably perkier. This way, please, Kim Solium trudged along but didn't forget to add, thanks, man. Before long, a prompting voice rang in his ear. Come on, let's start the lucky spin, the doomsday prophecy from the Ghostverse. The prize ranks are set for each slot, so just press the button to stop whenever you'd like. Kim Solium, hopping for luck, decisively pressed. Anyway, I'll probably only win a consolation prize, but that's better than nothing. As the wheel spun wildly, his head spun with it. Seventh prize is a notebook, right? At least I should grab that and go. Yet somehow, by whatever luck, the arrow landed squarely on the grand prize slot. Kim Solium was stunned stiff, dazed and questioning his conscience. Really? The staff seemed to read his mind and lunged forward without hesitation, excitedly. Congratulations, that's the grand prize. First prize, please come collect your first prize. The tangible gift box. Even holding the hot item didn't quell Kim Solium's doubts. Is this for real? The attendant pulled him out of his daze with a request. We also personalize souvenirs on the spot. May we have your name? Kim Solium mumbled yes out loud, though inwardly more suspicious. Personalized souvenirs on the spot. Yet with the music playing, his name was announced. Kim Solium. After the staff card was issued, a new prompt appeared. Create your own character in the team. Everything automated so smoothly that when Kim Solium held the finished product with his name on it, he was stunned. An employee card. While he was confused, the eager staffer jumped in as mascot, Daydream Corporation, one of the three most famous powers in our ghost story universe. Of course, Kim Solium knew. It's the classic trope of a big corporation built on ghost stories, and among them, the field exploration team is. The squad that's constantly drained to explore abnormal phenomena at any hour. As a result, many notable figures seem to belong to this team. The staffer, unaware of Kim Solium's reluctance, remained delighted. Congratulations, I can't wait to see how employee Kim Solium will play a role in the ghost story world. Do you like it? Will you cherish it? He gave a half-hearted yes, but already planned to stash it somewhere out of sight. But right then, a harsh accusation hammered his mind. Liar. Next, the space around him spun and was replaced by an eerily creepy scene. Suddenly, a wave of dizziness overwhelmed Kim Solium, and his vision went dark. Kim Solium clenched the item in his hand again and silently regretted it. And when I opened my eyes again, I was inside a lecture hall. The memory phone stand is a grade D item appearing in the ghost story universe. When attached to a smartphone, it perfectly projects the passages the user remembers as a neatly arranged page. Kim Solium fumbled in his pocket while his mind calculated about this item. This stand displays memories as text, so if that's the case. Kim Solium didn't hesitate and attached the stand to his phone. The moment the two merged, a blinding light, like the sun of truth, nearly blinded. After a while, he could finally read the dense lines on the screen. Welcome to the Abyss Transport Authority. I dozed off and woke up on a subway train. It felt like my commute home, but for some reason strange station names began to announce. This is the synopsis of a ghost story in the ghost story universe. Daydream Corporation's ID is D16. A crazy ghost story boasting an exceptionally low escape rate among the Twilight Tier darks written in the early days. And forever, the field exploration team must endure endless suffering. A total of 56 expeditions were recorded. Kim Solium's inner self screamed madly. It's actually active. The notes I only vaguely remembered appeared on my phone with perfect detail. The ghost story universe he'd stepped into is a compilation of hundreds of ghost tales where many people ignited with creative passion. Recalling all those stories at once is hard enough. And because you must deduce survival methods yourself, it's very difficult to immediately produce correct answers for different situations. But if I have this, clearly God gave Kim Solium a diamond hand rather than the fabled golden touch. He immediately operated his phone. What I need to find right now is, Kim Solium's fingers flew across the screen, leaving no afterimage, gathering more information about past escape cases. When he felt the data was sufficient, he decisively stopped. Kim Solium pondered, brought the phone to his lips, fiddled with it, and quietly exhaled. Got it. The announcement kept nagging like a vengeful ghost. Next stop is Resentment Station, but it didn't affect Kim Solium's thinking. After reading the escape cases, I roughly pictured where we should get off. The speaker's emphasis on this being Resentment Station synced with his hesitation. The problem was suddenly complaints reached his ear from the dazed people around. No cell signal and no data either. What a pain. Resentment, like the kind when people are just plain angry, right? He stared at them, weighing things up. How do I convince these people to get off at the right stop? Kim Solium fixed his gaze on the tightly closed door and quietly steeled himself. I need to get as many people off together as possible. And if you're asking whether I have a mission to save many lives, like sprouting wings and inspiring tearful praise, may Lord Kim Solium protect us. Long live the field exploration team. Of course the answer is no. But thinking that, Kim Solium clutched his head, wanting to offer himself an explanation. No, on a human level I do feel that way too, but have I told you? The most crucial issue here is I can't get off alone. This train passes all kinds of stops, like a station full of eyeballs. There's even a station that's completely inverted. Just thinking about it made his head spin. His chance of fainting midway and failing to escape was over 90%. Thinking of his innate fear of ghosts, Kim Solium took a deep breath and boldly stood up. So, he stared at everyone and quietly resolved. Somehow I have to persuade everyone and we'll leave together. Yet only a fool would randomly start rambling about supernatural phenomena and the dark. Since Kim Solium isn't that fool, he had another plan. Wait, first build trust. People are influenced by crowd psychology. If he convinces one or two, the rest will tend to follow and get off too. With that in mind, Kim Solium slid down the corridor to look for prey. Let's see, someone who looks like they need help or someone I can use as a connection. But after only a few steps, a piercing scream reached his ears. What the hell is this? This isn't some horror vid on YouTube, is it? Kim Solium spun toward the voice and mentally shouted, "Got one." And the person who completely filled Kim Solium's view was none other than Go Young-yoon. She was engrossed in her phone when footsteps approached from afar. Kim Solium sat down casually beside her and opened with the most natural lead. "Did you just talk about ghosts?" Go Young-yoon hurriedly put her phone away out of politeness, then awkwardly explained, I sometimes watch ghost story videos on YouTube, and this reminded me of." Seizing the moment, he pushed, "Can you elaborate on what you mean? The situation seems off, so I think it's best we share information." Go Young-yoon didn't hold back and spilled it all. It's not exactly information. It's just that literally I feel like everything stepped out of a ghost story." The lecture hall suddenly turned into a subway car. With just that one example, Go Young-yoon's voice drifted off, and then that person just dies. The single word "dies" she uttered at the end sounded as if all the breath had been sucked from her body. Go Young-yoon, feeling haunted herself, quickly covered her mouth and tried to explain. "Sorry, suddenly mentioning that made me." Yet Kim Solium acted highly sympathetic. "It's okay, I feel the same. This situation's so unreal I can't think straight either." He shrugged his shoulders and swallowed his exclamation. "I feel like vomiting too." After a few stunned seconds, Go Young-yoon smiled and retorted, "No way, you seem like the only one keeping a cool head here." Kim Solium suffered silently, only able to chew on his pain. "Easy for you to say. You haven't seen how cool I look when I pass out." Just as their conversation was warming up, someone stepped in to interrupt. Beek Sahian approached with an awkwardly bright smile. Seeking confirmation of his suspicion, "I kept wondering earlier, you're the one who sat next to me, right?" Kim Solium stared at him, feeling vague himself. "Sat next to me." Thanks to not having completely fallen apart, his memory still worked enough to realize. "Oh right." In the hall, Beek Sahian had looked toward the box in my hand and asked, "Where did you get that?" Though Kim Solium himself couldn't explain this godsend gift well. Seeing he seemed flustered, he reached his hand out proactively, then clearly introduced himself. "My name is Beek Sahian." Kim Solium jolted and instinctively repeated the name in his head. Beek Sahian, he's a notable employee. And with that came a flood of specific facts. A Daydream Corporation employee recorded in the Ghost Story Universe files, last known position head of department, a total of 106 recorded expeditions, 17 of which are listed as special cases in the encyclopedia. And most importantly, his nickname is Venomous Snake. Kim Solium didn't take his eyes off the harmless face before him, his mind refusing to accept reality. Is he really Beek Sahian? He remained silent like a lump of rice, but the woman beside him stood politely and bowed. "Even in this chaos, we should at least introduce ourselves properly. I'm Go Young-yoon." Kim Solium processed the info silently. "That's a name I've never heard before." He emphasized that because his ghost filter lens had kicked in, so she is either someone whose real name was never revealed, or someone who handled ghost stories smoothly and left the company early, or someone who died young. Some notable employees appear only under aliases, but those people have such strong traits you'll recognize them at a glance. Kim Solium clenched his hand on his knee to stop himself from kneeling and cursed under his breath. Damn it. But in the end, he forced himself to stand and calmly spread his hands to introduce. "I'm Kim Solium." As they talked, people automatically split into groups. Go Young-yoon leaned toward Kim Solium and whispered, "It seems they're trying to contact people in the next car somehow." He mouthed along, "Seems like it," but inwardly protested, "Those attempts will fail. In this ghost story, moving between cars is taboo. But all calculations had to pause for the announcement over the speaker. Next stop, Ecstasy, Ecstasy Station. People quickly absorbed the news and started chatting. Ecstasy sounds nice, doesn't it? Maybe I'm the only one quietly rejecting it. No, you can't pick a station just because the name sounds good. First, in this ghost story, the theme of each station changes every time it appears. So you can't just wait for a station name that sounds promising and use it to escape. But people can study previous precedents. For example, in Welcome to the Abyss Transport Authority, there are 32 expedition records logged out of 56 trials. Station names were assigned by colors like red, yellow, blue, etc., and the result was a successful escape with 2 survivors, Chosen Station, Blue Station. Other station names were based on body parts like left hand, cornea, heart, and so on. But this time the data recorded an escape failure, Chosen Station, Ear Station. There are station names based on years like 2008, 2012, 2016, and so on. In the end, no lucky cases were recorded. Escape failed, Chosen Station, 2026. Some stations are named after serial killers. Escape succeeded with 12 survivors, Chosen Station, XXX. After skimming the data, Kim Solium still couldn't decide which path to pick. Even reviewing examples up to Case 56 showed no correlation between a station's optimistic-sounding name and the chance of survival. Then an excited voice pulled him from his wandering thoughts. The station looks normal enough. Should we get off and see if we can find anyone? But when he lifted his eyelids, his whole body felt struck by lightning. So why does it look like a brand new station in some swanky new district? He denied it frantically in his head. No way. I need to hold on to every last member of the group I can and keep my own wits about me if I'm about to witness what happens to them. Thinking that, Kim Solium jumped up and shouted, "Please wait." He used his most serious tone to manipulate the wavering minds around him. Are you sure? Hoa-jun, halted and somewhat annoyed, demanded, "Sure about what?" Kim Solium repeated the question gravely. I'm asking if you're sure this place is safe. Not content with just fear, he recruited allies to strengthen his case. I think most people here would agree this feels like a ghost story. But whether in ghost stories or horror films, have you ever seen a happy ending when people act purely on gut feeling and good vibes without any reasoning or deduction? As Kim Solium spoke, the atmosphere grew colder. Do you really want to gamble your life that easily? Hoa-jun took a deep breath and mustered her strength to retort. Do you have some brilliant deduction we don't? You keep spouting doom and gloom from the start. Get out of the way. What logic? Whatever, forget it. Think this is a quiz show with prizes. Who gave us any hints? Kim Solium waited for that and then dropped the heavier bomb. We did get a hint. He paused for a moment and then pointed straight up at the ceiling. Then he announced clearly, it's the public announcement. This blunt reveal stunned everyone into silence. From the start, the announcements on the train have been telling us the truth. Sure enough, the recorded announcements were replayed one after another. Thank you for traveling with the Abyss Transport Authority. Our train does not stop. To ensure a smooth journey to the final destination, please pay close attention to this announcement. Seeing everyone understood, Kim Solium continued calmly. It was clear from the beginning. They kept reminding us to focus and follow the announcements. Just then the demand-like speaker resumed. Passengers whose final destination is Ecstasy Station, please disembark according to the announcement. Kim Solium scanned the group and asked nonchalantly, is anyone here whose final destination is ecstasy? Hoa-jun weakly pleaded again, but ecstasy is a good thing, right? Living blissfully isn't that what life's about? Kim Solium cut in immediately. So is ecstasy your final destination? She stammered, W. But when she caught herself, Hoa-jun suddenly found courage to speak louder. Aren't you meddling in other people's business a bit too much? If we miss our chance to escape because of you, will you take responsibility? Contrary to his usual hesitation, this time Kim Solium confidently promised, I'll take responsibility. While everyone hesitated, the timely announcement sounded. The platform gates are closing. Kim Solium stood among the crowd and assessed silently. After all, I've already planned to get all of us out together, so that's fine. Now no one can really complain that I stopped them from getting off. But just as he was feeling smug, a piercing shout snapped Kim Solium back to the present. Hey. The reminder hit him like a bolt from the blue, and his whole body went rigid. The people in the car ahead have already gotten off the train. The person beside Kim Solium quietly asked, do you think they'll be okay? But he was busy gambling in his head. I really don't want this to be true. I can't believe I'm about to witness what's coming. The first person's foot stepping off the car was stopped by a viscous, sickly yellow liquid. But it seemed almost sentient, creeping up each leg to climb the torso. Those trapped screamed in shock, gold, it's gold. But like at the previous station, every word was swallowed by that shimmering golden fluid. Their bodies are melting. Someone save me. The final cries for help were carried away with their owners into the deadly river of gold. The scene outside the car could now be described with 4 words: earthly hellscape. Those who had hoped to escape were now golden mummies drifting across the platform. Some remained dazed, staring out as the speaker mechanically reminded, "The train is departing from Ecstasy Station." Suddenly someone who'd snapped back grabbed Kim Solium's sleeve and demanded, "You said you'd take responsibility. Are you really sure you can find a safe place for us?" He tilted his head, looked at the other's ashen face, and answered firmly, "Yes." But no one could read Kim Solium's true thoughts. He didn't know why he'd become the one expected to have the right answer. His legs were shaking so badly that's all he could say right now. "I'm already about to die of stress." Then Beek Sahian wore his familiar beaming face and offered congratulations. "You're extraordinary, sir." Kim Solium was startled by the overly formal tone, "Sir." He ignored Kim Solium's awkwardness and went on at length. "People like you are rare these days. Since you made such a bold promise, I really hope it works out well." Kim Solium, bored of the praise, calmly asked again, "Mr. Beek Sahian, is there a station you'd like to get off at?" He flinched and hemmed and hawed. Well, it's a kinda odd question. I'm not very familiar with these things." But his vagueness couldn't pass Kim Solium's cowardly, speculative test. If Beek Sahian really used to work here, that meant he'd pass this entry test, so he should have some sense of it. For now, I'll keep an eye on Beek Sahian. The announcement spread through the carriage. "Dear passengers, we are entering a curved section. Noise and shaking may occur. Please remain seated to avoid accidents." Someone took it upon themselves to urge people, and everyone obediently complied. "Folks, please sit down." But the chaos unfolding before them made people panic. "Oh no, the car ahead. There's a fight. What do we do?" The announcement said, "Sit down. Should we say something?" Eventually someone who couldn't bear it stood up to plead. "Excuse me, can you hear us? Please sit down." And Kim Solium casually let slip, "Too late." Sure enough, the next announcement arrived on time. "We are entering a curved section." The train twisted like an eel into an extremely bizarre curve. As the passengers who disobeyed were ground to pulp, the announcement casually rang out, "It is now safe, you may stand up. Thank you for your cooperation." The faint-hearted who witnessed this clutched their heads and freaked out. It happened exactly like the announcement said. "I can't take it anymore, get me off this thing. What is this? What the hell is this? Oh my god." While everyone vented, Kim Solium used the time to reinforce his stance. "This proves beyond doubt the announcements are our lifeline. They definitely help our chances of survival, but this is horrifying. Focus, just focus on convincing." But the announcements felt like a relentless death charm that just wouldn't let go. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is a notice from the Abyss Transport Authority." The desperate people could only stare blankly and ask again. But this time it wasn't a destination announcement. It was a lost and found notice. "We've received a report of a lost item. If you're carrying this lost item, please disembark at the next station and hand it over to station staff." Kim Solium's heart skipped because the announcement seemed pointed at him. "A mixed record escape case. If you have the specified lost item, you can leave safe." The announcement kept piercing everyone's eardrums. The lost item is a man in his 20s. An adult male, blood type A, his right eyeball. Inside Kim Solium's carriage, the announcement's warped voice pulsed and chilled the air. "The lost item is the left eye of a man in his 20s with blood type A. If you have found the lost item, please disembark at the next station and hand it to station staff." As soon as that info aired, he remembered a crucial detail that had appeared before, an escape case from an extra file. An unconditional escape ticket. The memory flipped open the passages he'd read. "Records of dark explorations. Welcome to the Abyss Transport Authority. 3 or 4 extra file escape cases. A document chronicling unusual survivals where people escaped by means other than disembarking at the correct station." Some methods repeated. The most common notes were temporary stops to adjust spacing between trains and lost item announcements. If you get off with the announced lost item, you can escape the station, however. Only one person can flee. The carriage buzzed with chaotic chatter about the earlier announcement. What did they say? A man in his 20s, the left eye of a man with blood type A. The repeated words in the tense air made panic spread. Blood type A must mean blood type. Amid the commotion, Kim Solium leaned back silently and calculated. Should I ignore it and let it pass? After all, everyone can survive if we get off at the right station. If one person escapes early for no reason, it could make things weird and start a civil war. Just then Ha-jun timidly raised a hand and suggested, "Why don't we try to find who the target is first?" The proposal quickly gained agreement. "Right, we don't know what could happen." So they slowly formed a circle and questions began flying through the air. "Excuse me, how old are you?" "Oh, I'm over 30. You look younger than that. I'm blood type B, so not me. My turn." Dong-soo turned to the side and asked quietly, "How about you, Mr. Kim Solium?" He answered without hesitation, "I'm blood type OB." an answer he had prepared, but it was a lie. Actually, I'm blood type A, but this will pass anyway, so there's no reason to reveal I'm the target. At that moment, a hand slowly rose and a wavering voice said, actually. Ha-jun took a long time to gather courage to speak again with a serious face. I completely match those criteria. After he spoke, he immediately looked around at everyone with a tense expression. The announcement blared urgently again. The next station is Rage, Rage. Beek Sahian suddenly cracked a crooked smile as the mechanical voice kept going, doors opening on the side. While Ha-jun still didn't know how to react, a figure silently closed in beside him, then slowly asked to confirm once more. You said you're blood type A, right? He flinched and spun around. Oh yes, that's right. The moment he nodded, Beek Sahian's grin stretched ear to ear with a crackle. Next station is Rage, Station Rage. The platform gates are open. He said that as he slowly swung the phone in his hand backward. What a pity. With that, the sharp edge struck straight into Ha-jun's left eye. A dry, metallic collision echoed through the silent carriage, freezing everyone in place. But Beek Sahian didn't stop. He followed up with a heavy kick to Ha-jun. The impact sent him flying from his spot, collapsing onto the floor in agony. A pitiful scream tore through the stifling air. He just stabbed his own eye. Chaos spread fast. Some rushed to Ha-jun while shouting at Beek Sahian, "Are you okay? What the hell are you doing?" Contrary to the furious reactions, Beek Sahian acted as if it were obvious. They told us we could escape if we sacrificed an eye, so why are you all standing around like idiots? That cold reply stunned the crowd. Nobody expected him to twist the announcement into something so brutal. They said we could get off if we handed over the lost item. Just then the mechanical voice came over the system again. If you have found the lost item, please disembark at the next station and hand it to station staff. Ignoring the astonished stares, Beek Sahian turned and walked away indifferently, though come to think of it, I guess one shouldn't expect much from people who want others to take responsibility for their lives. That shameless brazenness made Go Young-yoon grind her teeth in fury. That guy, meanwhile Kim Solium murmured silently, oh. He rubbed his chin, amusement showing on his face. Truly a venomous snake. Watching Beek Sahian smile, he unintentionally recalled how the man had seemed when he first appeared. I assumed he was just new and uncorrupted by society. But Beek Sahian, as described in the Dark Exploration records, definitely gives off that vibe. Kim Solium's gaze followed Beek Sahian as he stepped off the train and waved. Rather than sacrifice his own left eye, which matched the description, he damaged someone else's eye in case only one item would be accepted. Just then the announcement sounded again. The platform gates are closing, confirming Kim Solium had understood the broadcast. Though hinted at, it was an extremely bold move. The thing is, he didn't have to go that far. While everyone's attention stayed on Beek Sahian, Kim Solium quietly lowered himself. His hand slowly slipped into the luggage compartment beneath the seat, carefully searching. I'm sure I saw something around here earlier. Reaching deeper inside, Kim Solium subtly rearranged things. From the start, the lost item wasn't something that belonged to me, but something someone else had lost. When his fingertip touched an object hidden in the dark corner, he immediately pulled it out without hesitation. In his palm lay an object resembling a contact lens case, with a small paper label reading, right eye, blood type A, female, age 27. In fact, this lost item announcement was a kind of treasure hunt, where you had to find an item in the carriage that exactly matched the description and take it with you. Well, there were also cases where people accidentally escaped by sacrificing parts of their own bodies. Before the train departed, Kim Solium suddenly tapped the window to catch Beek Sahian's attention. I don't need to criticize him for finding a way to escape, but this definitely crossed the line. Then he slowly raised the small vial he held up to the glass so Beek Sahian could see. His fingers deliberately covered the outer label, leaving only the pupil inside visible to Beek Sahian. Through the glass barrier, his expression changed instantly when he recognized what it was. That muttered phrase carried shock and disbelief. An eye. The PA echoed across the platform. Passengers who disembarked, please wait a moment, station staff will assist you. As the announcement ended, devices that hadn't been there moments before suddenly appeared around Beek Sahian's position. They all turned to Beek Sahian's pupil as the carriage speaker chimed. Thank you sincerely for your cooperation. Everything happened in a brief instant. He was attacked. The lost item has been safely handed over to station staff. The others on the train immediately erupted when they heard the agonized sound coming from the platform. Did you all hear that scream? But because it was caused by what he did, no one felt sorry for Beek Sahian. While everyone was still arguing, Go Young-yoon bent down to check Ha-jun's condition. It's almost certain his cornea was damaged. I'm so worried. Noticing she could assess things fairly accurately, Kim Solium grew a little curious. Did you used to work in medicine? Seeming afraid of being misunderstood, she quickly explained. No, I only studied that at university. I even switched majors halfway through, so I'm just an amateur. I haven't even taken the national exam yet. Still, that impressed him. Just getting into medical school is top tier to me. The carriage atmosphere was still unsettled, and after the incident, the PA suddenly announced, "Next station is Resentment, Station Resentment." Kim Solium immediately realized everyone was looking at him. Are they waiting to see if I'll tell them to get off here? Given the situation, I guess they're passing the choice of station to me. Just then Go Young-yoon spoke with a complex expression. "Excuse me, doesn't this feel a bit pressuring?" That left him puzzled. Huh. Seemingly not giving him a chance to answer, she continued in one breath, "Everyone keeps leaning on you." Kim Solium thought otherwise. "Actually, I'm grateful they lean on me." When he stayed silent, she went on to voice what was on her mind. "I know people do that because they're scared and anxious, I'm sorry, but for you it's different. I'm the one who's scared and anxious. That's why I've been trying to rile them up." After a few seconds to steady her feelings, Go Young-yoon slowly spoke. "I've tried thinking about it myself." That sparked Kim Solium's curiosity. "What have you thought of?" She hesitated a long time before answering cautiously about the final destination he mentioned earlier. After a brief pause, Go Young-yoon continued in a careful tone. "If we're talking about a person's final destination, is it ultimately the end of life?" That question made Kim Solium freeze momentarily as he listened, because the end of life is death. As she spoke, she unconsciously squeezed her interlaced hands, so I wondered whether we should get off when a similar word appears. But if so, it feels like telling people to walk toward their own ending, so I couldn't say it aloud. After hearing all Go Young-yoon's thoughts, Kim Solium assessed objectively. "I think that's a very convincing opinion." His unexpected praise made her briefly flustered, really. But that agreement lasted only a moment. However, from the start. Saying that, he suddenly fell silent, with a faint smile twitching at the corner of his mouth. Then he slowly closed his eyes to let his thoughts finish forming before speaking. "Exactly what is a destination?" That left Go Young-yoon bewildered. The familiar PA sounded again. "Next station is Peace, Station Peace, doors opening on the right." When the carriage quieted, Kim Solium continued. "If you look it up, destination means what you want to achieve or the direction you're heading toward." Then he reordered his reasoning because the directions weren't hard. "If you follow them, you'll survive. This train's premise is straightforward. Sit in your seat, find the lost item. If you act according to the instructions, your safety is secured. But it comes with a sorrowful departure. Even those who get off at the wrong station pay a very tangible price, so a destination means. According to the rules this train always follows, the standard for choosing a station is actually simple. The destination the train refers to is probably a milestone you haven't reached yet. In other words, it's something you lack." All the previous events snapped into place. At the green station, those who weren't carrying green items escaped. At the station named after the serial killer, most people escaped because none of them were the serial killer. Each example only made the argument stronger. Thinking this way simplifies how we choose a station, since the station's themes are emotions, one I currently lack. After the train rolled on for a while, a PA announcement sent everyone inside into anxious suspense. "This station is Peace, Station Peace." Contrary to the surrounding unease, Kim Solium smiled confidently and without hesitation. "It's this station." Turning to the puzzled face of Go Young-yoon, he affirmed, "We will get off here." A nagging question had been smoldering in Kim Solium's mind day after day. What exactly is an emotion a person doesn't have? Everyone experiences feelings in life. He recalled the colorful expressions, the vivid faces of his companions. Despite individual differences, most people go through joy, anger, love, and sorrow. So it's not easy to find an emotion none of us possess, unless there's an exception. Kim Solium snapped out of his reverie and returned to the present. His drifting gaze combined with an already impassive face made him mysteriously unreadable. Right in front of the group, the train's electronic sign flickered coldly, announcing the next stop, Taepyeong. Taepyeong Peace, defined in the dictionary as a mental state without worry or anxiety. Taepyeong Peace, a noun meaning a country's stable, peaceful condition without concerns, implying Taepyeong enjoys tranquility. They pray for the nation's peace every year, no worries or anxieties in mind. He is always calm and carefree. He has mountains of work but is sleeping soundly. No one can be completely free of worry and anxiety, especially in a situation like this, and outside the train the air was thick and saturated with the metallic stench of blood. Kim Solium moved toward Ha-jun, who was slumped on the cold metal bench, bending and holding out a hand in a friendly gesture. Kim Solium took Ha-jun's arm over his shoulder and supported him step by step toward the platform door. "Let me help you." This sudden kindness made Ha-jun blush and stammer incoherently. "Thank you, Kim Solium." But the care masked a rational calculation. "If I lead, others will follow. There's no turning back now." If we all escaped together like that, however, the plan was halted the moment the automatic doors opened. Fresh blood splattered across walls and floors, creating a scene of earthly hell. Everyone's faces immediately went pale. Even Kim Solium was rooted to the spot. The space fell into a deathly silence until a trembling voice broke it. A pool of blood. Could this really be the right answer? Inside, Kim Solium screamed and cursed this absurd reality in every place to choose from. Why here of all places? The confidence and decisiveness he had minutes before dissolved like smoke in the rancid breeze. How could I convince them to get off here? Honestly, I don't even want to get off. Someone, convince me. Kim Solium's 5 fingers clenched his wrist white. Sorry, everyone. But before anyone could hear him properly, Go Yong-yoon suddenly raised an arm. I think we should get off here. She saw through the slight tremor in Kim Solium's shoulder. You're the only one of us who's certain, and you've stayed composed while the rest were terrified, lost in self-doubt. When he heard that, he was startled, me calm. She offered a completely objective judgment, based on what she'd witnessed from the start of this deadly train ride until now. Some people made a fuss just to save themselves, but Kim Solium, you did not. Go Yong-yoon's gaze was firmer than ever. She resolutely bet her life on him. After all, if we have to follow someone's opinion, I'd rather follow a good person. While the others stood dumbfounded, she decisively stepped half a foot beyond the safety line. She didn't hesitate or pause to test the waters. She strode straight into the blood-soaked space outside. The surroundings remained silent, and no traps or dangers were triggered, so Go Yong-yoon immediately shouted to those still safe on the train. This is the right answer. Everyone, get off here. Come on here. Kim Solium gaped after her retreating back, and just then a faint, faltering voice sounded right beside him. Kim Solium. Ha-jun forced a smile he thought looked suave. I trust you too, Kim Solium. Let's go, don't hesitate for my sake. A complicated feeling rose inside him. Kim Solium pretended nothing was wrong. All right then. The ridiculous truth no one knew was that he was the most terrified one, too scared to get off. He discreetly swallowed and silently cheered himself on. Okay. Though fear still flooded his chest, he refused to show any crack on that impassive face. If we all get off here, we'll be safe. With only their footsteps echoing now, he forced himself to stay clear-headed in the eerie quiet, just focus on the feeling of moving upward. After walking a long stretch, they came upon a large glass wall plastered with yellow talismans. A large glass wall plastered with yellow talismans appeared before them. High above, a sign reading "Exit" hung suspended, its surface stained dark brown and black by long-dried blood. The surrounding atmosphere once again lost its light, gradually sinking into darkness. Under the remaining dim gleams, they could barely make out steep stone steps leading upward. A blinding flash erupted, and a fake-sounding welcome echoed through the space. Congratulations to the new staff. That grating sound snapped Kim Solium awake. He startled and opened his eyes wide. The first thing he did as consciousness returned was hurriedly survey the scene, silently counting the people who'd followed him in. 1, 2. His gaze quickly rifled through the crowd, searching for familiar faces. 3, 4. The more faces he found intact, the more the tense expression on his face eased. 5. His focus landed on the final members of the group. 6, 7. Only then did Kim Solium's tight chest truly relax. We're alive. Surviving passengers from the carriage. 8 people. Stepping out under the bright stage lights, Kim T gripped the mic and shouted to liven the silent air. Let's see now, good heavens, 22 people passed this probation. What a record. Unless there's a difficulty setting error, you lot are an elite class. What will HR think? But let him do his shtick. The crowd below kept a deathly silence. Kim Solium blended into the crowd to silently assess the surroundings. No one reacted. Despite no one answering or responding, Kim T kept up his enthusiasm. So shall we pick the most outstanding person among you? In the dark room, a single spotlight from the ceiling suddenly shone directly on him. Congratulations, Kim Solium. Oh, stand up right away. Someone with situational judgment like that would fit our department well. Too bad. Kim Solium kept his usual calm, an icy feeling rising inside, so he had been watching everything. This is actually happening. Kim T handed him a paper bag and chuckled suggestively. This company's gifts aren't just for the valedictorian, everyone gets one. Kim Solium accepted the gift with both hands, bowed his head to the bag, a tired twitch at his lip. Honestly, I'm not happy about this at all. Just as Kim Solium reached for the gift, Kim T suddenly tightened his grip on the bag's handle, refusing to let go. He leaned in slightly, brought his face close to Kim's hand, and whispered in a low tone only the two of them could hear. Take a good look inside. The odd gesture in that instruction stunned him for a beat. What? Before he could react, Kim T flashed a bright smile and acted as if nothing shady had happened between them. Next up, Baek Sahyun. Next, one by one, the dazed and exhausted people stepped up to the platform to receive a gift bag identical to Kim Solium. Each person's reaction to holding the gift varied. Some couldn't hide their sorrow. Others stood frozen like soulless corpses. Back at his spot, Kim Solium silently pieced together and analyzed the information he'd gathered. These people had been in the ghost story for a long time, and it seemed each train's time frame different. Glancing at the person beside him, a rare flicker of sympathy rose in him for Beek Sayun. After this is over, he'll probably check himself into a hospital. On the platform, Kim T broke into a radiant smile and applauded to close the show. So, has everyone received their gift? With that, all of you. He deliberately dragged out his words, then loudly declared an official decision. You've been recruited to Daydream's field investigation team. A large message suddenly appeared midair as a closing remark, ending the chapter with thanks from the production team. We sincerely thank you for loving this webtoon. Just when it seemed everything could end nicely and they were freed, Kim T's weird voice cut in. Wait. Not everyone who passed the test put in the same effort, you know. There's always someone living off others. The corners of his mouth stretched into a long, ear-to-ear grin of glee. Fairness must prevail. All freeloaders will be rounded up. In that instant, strange ripples appeared among the auditorium seats. A few people who had been sitting vanished in the blink of an eye without a trace, as if they had never existed. Kim Solium recoiled in horror, feeling a cold, filthy sensation slowly crawl over his skin. Witnessing the swift purge, Kim T raised his voice again to address the 13 remaining new staff. Welcome, everyone. Go Young-yoon, aghast, clapped both hands over her mouth, fighting the surge of nausea and revulsion rising in her throat. He completely ignored the crowd's fear and panic below and continued babbling proudly. You have all earned official staff positions with outstanding performance. On the empty benches, there were only a few sets of hollow clothes left, covered in a viscous, slimy substance of unknown origin. One member of the group reached his breaking point. He trembled, raised his hand, and kept repeating, "Please let me quit. I want to quit. I want to quit." Kim T arched an eyebrow, feigning bafflement at the sudden decision. You want to quit such a great job. Didn't you ask about our benefits before deciding? Go Young-yoon feared it was another psychological trap the company set to eliminate dissenters. If I listen to the benefits info, will my resignation be processed safely? He insisted magnanimously. Yes, you can quit without penalty. But right after that promise, his familiar crooked smile returned. Of course, you might change your mind after hearing about the benefits. Kim Solium's face showed extreme tension. He realized the real trap was only beginning. The baton had been passed, and now Kim T bellowed to shred the atmosphere. Let me introduce our company's top-tier benefits. He saw through the dirty tricks this organization always used to manipulate and lure people. The carrot was already on the big screen. The detailed image of the treasure appeared, the wish ticket. At that moment, Kim T cheerfully introduced. Our company is a famous, wildly successful pharmaceutical conglomerate. We even developed hair regrowth therapies, so you can imagine how advanced our tech is. But we have a flagship product that outshines everything else. The wish ticket, a drug that can make any wish come true. They call it the wish ticket. Just glancing at the slides is a bit confusing, so let me demonstrate. Lucky for you, today just happens to be the day I received my wish ticket. No sooner had he finished than he quickly opened the vial of wish tickets. Immediately, Kim T drank it straight away, leaving everyone stunned as they buzzed. A wish ticket. Is it real? It's gotta be fake, right? Plus, we don't even know what he intended to wish for. Suddenly, Kim T's hair smoothed back as he let out an exhilarated shout. He, looking rejuvenated as if he'd turned back the clock, happily declared, "See, this is the power of the wish ticket. A wish ticket can even reverse time." Kim T continued, "Your team, the field investigation team, consistently scores excellent performance evaluations, which means your team can obtain wish tickets twice as fast as others. In fact, the top 10 fastest recipients of wish tickets all came from the field investigation team. In other words, your members are in the best position to get." That was just a clever turn of phrase. The number of people who die is probably higher than the number who actually receive one. Even so, Kim Solium pondered, this isn't a scam. Everyone had seen with their own eyes that people could actually receive a wish ticket. The silence now was the calm before the storm. Suddenly, a hand shot up in the auditorium. Dongguk cautiously asked, "Can a wish ticket resurrect someone from the dead?" He looked at Kim T with worried eyes. Seeing that, Kim T smiled and replied firmly, We have a standard answer for questions like that. It's impossible." I'm sure you were all expecting me to say that, right? A wish ticket can grant any wish the holder desires. So decide now, will you? The auditorium door suddenly swung open. Kim T boldly announced, "Anyone who wants to refuse this offer may leave, but those who want to accept should put on the mask inside your shopping bag." Kim Solium quietly glanced at the bag placed at his feet and muttered in surprise, a mask. I never thought I'd actually get one of these. With that, he took the mask out of the bag himself. As soon as he lifted it, a business card fell out as well. Kim Solium examined the card and thought to himself, a business card, so that's why the host told us to watch closely earlier. I'll look into this later. And here's the mask. The Ghost Story Universe, Daydream Corporation, Department, Reading and Editing. Employees assigned to the field investigation team must wear these masks. When working on-site, the masks will be distributed after orientation for new staff. According to staff, each recruitment year follows a different mask theme. For example, employees wearing ant masks and mantis masks were probably hired the same year. It's the emblem of Daydream's field investigation team. Kim Solium worriedly thought, honestly, I'm kind of tempted to give up and run away. This is a world where dark anomalies lurk in everyday life. A coward like me won't last long. If quitting means becoming a human bullet in a horror story, then I've got to find a way to escape this world. And then one by one, people began putting their masks on, starting with Baek Sahyun. Then Go Young Yoon. And even after all that, not a single person left. When a new employee put their mask on, its shape changed. It personalized itself, transforming into a unique form just for the wearer. Kim Solium wondered to himself, I wonder what mine will look like. Then a flash of light shot out, and two horns sprouted on either side of Kim Solium's mask. He awkwardly thought, antlers. What kind of shape is this? A deer? Does everyone get one? He glanced at Go Young Yoon's mask and thought, a mountain goat. Right after that, a voice announced, once again, congratulations on joining our company. Employment confirmed. Your probation period is officially over. Employment confirmed. In an instant, a notebook appeared with the words, Ghost Story Universe Item Box. New merchandise unlocked. Kim Solium mentally calculated. New merchandise unlocked. It's really flashy. I'll check it later, maybe after I get home. Home, huh? Suddenly Kim Solium realized something. Wait a minute. Do I even have a home in this world anymore? A little while later, Go Young Yoon cheerfully came over to chat. Good morning, Mr. Kim Solium. Kim Solium replied calmly, good morning. She asked curiously, so you got housing support too, Mr. Kim Solium? He nodded and answered. He recalled earlier when he searched the address. His phone quickly showed the info. Address invalid. Kim Solium thought blankly. The most recent records are from my university days. Even my family's contact info is gone. While he worried about what to do, Baek Sahyun quietly glanced at. Watching Kim T introduce the executive team and staff, Kim Solium couldn't help thinking, so I have no choice but to use the employee benefits, huh? And that's how I moved into the company housing. The host's sales pitch said, the apartment is right next to the station. I told you this company is amazing, beaming like the sun. Kim Solium judged inwardly. Who in their right mind would move in after making us play a survival game? Back in the present, Go Young Yoon kept chatting. Did you know, it seems 7 out of our 13 colleagues got housing support. Kim Solium thought in shock. Most of them got it. Go Young Yoon continued. It's a little creepy, but free housing near the train station is hard to refuse. Kim Solium had to agree with her. True, money is the scariest thing in the world. The company's housing complex was actually rather decent. It was a clean, newly renovated building near the station, probably so they could keep us close enough to exploit our labor to death whenever they wanted. But there was just one problem. The moment Kim Solium stepped in, he saw Baek Sahyun sitting at the dining table scrolling his phone. Hearing the door open, Baek Sahyun reflexively looked toward Kim Solium. They stared at each other with nothing but contempt. My roommate in the company dormitory turned out to be Baek Sahyun. In an instant, the atmosphere between Kim Solium and Baek Sahyun shifted into an awkward silence as neither spoke. Kim Solium looked at Baek Sahyun's bandaged eyes and thought, looks like the company fixed your eyes. No need for us to interfere just because we're roommates. I'm heading to my room. He intended to ignore him and walk straight past, when Baek Sahyun suddenly called out, hey. But Kim Solium paid him no mind and kept walking. Baek Sahyun, a bit angry, snarled loudly, hey. Yet he still didn't respond to him. Baek Sahyun started complaining. This guy's crazy. Finding someone else's eyes being gouged out entertaining, really. Kim Solium stayed silent and said nothing. He slowly turned and walked toward Baek Sahyun. Quickly, he placed a hand on his shoulder. With a creepy smile, Kim Solium replied in a low voice, yeah, that's right. Before Baek Sahyun could even shout what, Kim Solium launched into a long spiel. Is this what people call dopamine? Thanks to you, I've had a wonderful time. I hope we'll have chances to work together, so I can watch scenes like that again. It's been ages since I've had entertainment this good. I'm eagerly awaiting more good news from you. Do spice up my office life a little, will you? With that, Kim Solium turned and left. He thought icily, fine, keep this up and I'll look like a deranged perp. Based on my method for spotting unreasonable people, honed over years dealing with clients, There's a term for folks like Beek Sahyun. They're known as Lord Syndrome types, people who rewrite memories to fit their story, shameless and heartless, bully the weak and submit to the strong, impossible to reason with but shockingly quick when it benefits them. They craft their own version of reality and stubbornly insist it's true, deal with them by showing aggressive dominance. Saying I want to work with him is obviously a lie, part bluff, part precaution. Anyway, the odds of new hires ending up on the same team are tiny. I just need to lie convincingly enough to avoid getting stabbed in my sleep. Soon after, Kim Solium entered his room. The company's free dorm was fully furnished, spotless like new, with a private bathroom and a weekly deep clean service for just 100,000 won. On the desk was a welcome gift, premium snacks, and even some stationery. Seriously, the director's crazy. Employee benefits this good are insane. These are staff deemed competent enough to work. So the company's probably trying to cut turnover rates. There was even a journal. He opened the journal to read and wondered, why does this say last year? Then Kim Solium smiled and closed the journal, thinking solemnly, Senior, I appreciate your hard-won advice, but I'm beyond safe. All right, now I'm all alone. Should I check it? Thinking it over, Kim Solium summoned the sticky note that had appeared on the stand earlier and tapped to inspect. Instantly, the sticky note flipped through pages one after another. Finally, a smiley face sticker fell out. Kim Solium muttered, what's this? Classification smiley sticker, Daydream Corporation, readable edible, tool edit item, a detail, salesperson's companion. When affixed to a sentient being, it makes them feel a bit friendlier toward the user. Usage requirement, official employee of Daydream Corporation or higher. This cheap-looking sticker is actually a sympathy manipulation item, aka a bribery item. That's why it was completely deleted, too overpowered. After authors started staging gladiatorial arena fights using its effects, people decided the item itself had to be removed. Some argued it was too easy to obtain, so why not nerf it or raise the usage requirements? I think trimming it was worthwhile because the setup before the core ghost story got way too long. Should we avoid turning ghost stories into shorts to keep narrative consistency and quality? That's not the issue. The issue is the ghost stories are boring, and slapping a smiley sticker on a famous employee to pull them back is supposed to be entertaining. This is probably the only one left in existence. The smiley sticker can only be used by official employees or higher. Usage requirement, official Daydream employee or above. I must have unlocked it when I became a full employee. So I'll get a new item every time my rank or department changes. Seems useful for survival, but... So I'll get a new item every time my rank or department changes. Seems useful for survival, but... And that night, Kim Solium pulled the blanket up, getting ready for bed, thinking next week work starts. Too much happened in just one day. Yet in his sleep, he only dreamed nightmares called Daydream that kept him from sleep. The next morning, at the company dormitory, Go Young-yoon asked worriedly, Kim Solium, are you okay? Didn't sleep well, Kim Solium answered groggily, a little. I'm fine. Hearing that, Go Young-yoon gasped. Oh my god, Kim Solium, I thought you'd been stuck in nightmares all weekend. Go Young-yoon cheered him on. I'm on the 10th floor, Kim Solium, let's do our best. Kim Solium nodded in response, yes, let's go. The field survey team works from the 10th to the 15th floors, and the floor I'm heading to is. For some reason, even that number feels like a bad omen. Walking down the corridor, Kim Solium couldn't help thinking suspiciously, is this the team I was assigned to? Right now, two people were talking inside the room. As soon as they saw Kim Solium, one of them spoke up. You're here, you're here. Kim Solium politely bowed and introduced himself. Hello everyone, I've been assigned to Team D starting today. The other replied happily, I've heard all about you, welcome. The speaker was Team D's leader, Park Min-seong. He gently said, welcome the 15th cohort to Team D. Beside him was Deputy Yoon-hae. Kim Solium thought thankfully, good, seems they won't haze the rookies. Suddenly Yoon-hae chimed in with a warning. Just so you know, Team D's green cover is the rookies' graveyard. Then she put on a cold face and shouted, just kidding. No resigning allowed though. In the end, despite Kim Solium's unimpressed face, the young man in front of him greeted him enthusiastically. Anyway, welcome everyone, welcome to the Abyss Transport Agency and congrats on surviving the death survival trial. Faced with that zeal, he showed no joy, only a hint of disappointment. Can they really call it that openly? The young man kept the small talk going. Should we introduce ourselves first? Park Min-seong gestured to the person beside him. This is Assistant Director Yoon-hae. She nodded and smiled, welcome to Team D. Park Min-seong then pointed to himself and solemnly introduced. I'm Senior Staff Park Min-seong. He smiled and answered eagerly, very polite. Nice to meet the Assistant Director and Senior Staff. I'm Kim Solium. You don't have to be so formal. If you stick around here for about a year, you'll be promoted to Senior Staff too. Yoon-hae crossed her arms and kept a deadpan face. Of course, you might die before then. Park Min-seong was taken aback. Oh, senior. Yoon-hae continued, using her arsenal of experience. So what, quitting isn't a bad option. There are plenty of other jobs out there. Hearing that, Kim Solium couldn't help but think that no matter which job he chose, he'd still end up dragged into an urban legend. Park Min-seong unconsciously nodded in agreement. Meanwhile, this new hire was top of the entrance exam. Yoon-hae nodded and urged him to show off a bit. Come on, brag a little. Faced with their eagerness and hospitality, his face stayed icy. I just studied hard, okay. At his modesty, they all protested in chorus. Oh please, if that were enough, everyone would get into the National University. After chatting a while, Park Min-seong came over with a bright smile and suggested, the team leader's out in the field, so sit down and make yourself at home. Kim Solium slowly stood, bowed politely, yes, thank you. As the heavy atmosphere settled, a voice suddenly rang out. Hello, this is the live traffic forecast bulletin. Kim Solium was surprised by the sudden voice. Did the device just turn itself on? The device blared a few notable announcements. We now bring you real-time weather and traffic updates for the area. Clear skies and sunshine from this morning will persist, and like today's weather, traffic is calm on the routes. However, starting this afternoon, Kim Solium listened, gave it a lazy glance, and thought a weather forecast has nothing to do with reality. He stared at it thoughtfully, then concluded, this device is an urban legend. As he said each word clearly, Park Min-seong turned the dial a few times on the unlocking spot and said, you noticed, huh? His eyes betrayed amusement and a bit of surprise. This rookie's like a ghost, pretty sharp. It's like a daily fortune-telling thing, a relatively safe urban legend. Park Min-seong eyed the device and explained, traffic info hello, an urban legend appeared here. Its Daydream Corp ID is TE63, a strange radio that forecasts your daily fate through traffic conditions. It's classified at the dusk tier. At that, Kim Solium fell silent, his gaze lowering in thought. Seeing his pensive look, Park Min-seong immediately assumed, you're thinking what the heck is a dusk tier urban legend, bookworm, right? Kim quickly denied it. No, I'm not thinking that. Hearing that, Park Min-seong slowly took out a simple notebook and handed it to him. That's why we've prepared this for new employees like you. Seeing Kim Solium hesitant, Park Min-seong urged him on. Just watch. It opens with a dark, mysterious scene. The first line reads a warning. This video is produced for staff training purposes. Daydream Corporation, new employee training video. The orange cat representing Yoon-hae began to smile and greet the new hires full of dreams and zeal. Park Min-seong calmly assisted with formalities. Welcome to Daydream Corporation's field survey team. Everyone watching below looked excited and eager to see what kind of company Daydream would be. Hearing that, Yoon-hae and Park Min-seong both exclaimed in unison, ah, that's easy. We produce every kind of medicine you might need. Literally magical pharmaceuticals. Did you know supernatural phenomena still crop up in modern society? Urban legends are slowly becoming reality around us, like the electric fan that will kill you if you run it while you sleep in a closed room. A floor that doesn't exist shows on the elevator panel, the red mask. And lots of other terrifying urban legends are appearing too. Daydream Corporation manages all these urban legends, harvesting dreambone from them and turning it into magical pharmaceuticals that grant wishes. After saying that, Yoon-hae turned and asked, hey, exactly what is dreambone? Park Min-seong smiled and explained in detail. It's Daydream's most important resource, and there are dedicated people out there collecting it for us. Satisfied with the answer, the two continued their spiel. Yes, our field survey team is wonderful. After watching the promo video, Kim Solium suddenly froze, his face darkening as he gaped. What kind of thing is this? The story didn't stop there. It kept spinning a thrilling, pulse-bounding tale. Look, witness the bravery and cunning of the field survey team in action. Your mission is to collect dreambone, a magical ingredient only harvested from supernatural phenomena. Today, the dream collection jar is full again. The more he listened, the darker Kim Solium's expression became. His eyes glued seriously to the phone. Did they swap out the word ghost for urban legend to make it less scary? They dressed it up with friendlier words and a cute presentation. But then a deep, sinister voice intoned, this is the true nature of Daydream Corporation, a secret organization that manufactures and sells superior pharmaceuticals. Dreambone is the main material harvested from ghost stories. With enough dreambone, you can make anything from addiction cures to immortality elixirs. They can create superlative drugs that nearly manipulate reality. So who are the primary buyers of these drugs? Naturally, politicians and the elite. After all, it's just commerce. After a while, the video delivered its hidden message. Now take the dreambone jar and step into the darkness. The field survey team's operating manual of Daydream Corporation. Our company's future rests on your shoulder. After a moment, seeing Kim Solium remain silent, Yoon-hae and Park Min-seong both asked in unison if he was done watching. He kept his head down, eyes heavy, and replied reluctantly, yes, very impressive. Park Min-seong nodded satisfactorily. They call them urban legends and whatnot, but there's a response manual, so you don't need to worry too much. He leaned in and whispered in his ear, by the way, at our company we call them the darkness. If you don't want outsiders thinking you're a ghost story fanatic, just call them that. Hearing this froze his muddled mind solid. I think people would consider me a darkness fanatic instead. Darkness, Dreambone is piling up. After a bit, he stood up and carefully told Kim Solium, all right, so you've skimmed the manual. After some back and forth, Park Min-seong gave him a meaningful look, ready to go survey. Confronted with that question, he was stunned. On the very first day of work, Kim Solium began staring at the stacks of dossiers strewn across the floor. Minutes ticked by without him answering. Then Park Min-seong glanced over and announced, this afternoon you'll conduct a light darkness survey. Yoon-hae reached into her bag and pulled out something. Here, take this first. The thing she handed him is called a Dreambone collection jar, a dark survey dossier, a collection item, a detail, an artifact appearing in the ghost story universe. It's a portable liquid container made by Daydream Corporation. Its gauge fills during a survey of an urban legend darkness. The company calls the collected liquid Dreambone. The moment it was placed in Kim Solium's hands, Yoon-hae specially warned him, be careful not to lose it. Each jar has its own serial number, and it would be a real headache if one went missing. Hearing that, he wondered a bit. So it's kind of like losing a bullet casing, huh? Yoon-hae's face stayed the same. Her deep voice rang as a reminder. Before entering a darkness, make it a habit to wear your mask. Let me see your mask first. As soon as she said that, Kim Solium removed the mask he was wearing. Its look was unique, as if it had existed for 1,000 years. Upon seeing that singular appearance, Yoon-hae and Park Min-seong were both astonished. It was hard to believe how peculiar the mask was. They kept chatting and speculating in puzzled tones. Is it a Sika deer or a robot? After a bit of silly arguing, Yoon-hae couldn't help herself and delivered a mock palm strike. Let's just call it a roebuck. They're way tougher than deer. Oh, really? After a while, the mood returned to normal. She handed him a video and reminded him anyway, put your mask on and watch this. The next clip is trending. Do this and get 20 million won or just live normally. A post from the net. The short bold line read again. Do this and get 20 million won or just live normally. Play Ghost Chase for 3 days inside a convenience store with no one else within 10 kilometers and receive 20 million won or just survive. As the text appeared, the silhouette of a strange creature showed up. By the way, this is the shape of the ghost. The moment the video froze there, Park Min-seong immediately asked, what was that post about? Kim Solium carefully reconsidered everything he'd seen. It asked whether you'd play Ghost Chase in a convenience store for 3 days for money. At that, he froze, but he glanced at Yoon-hae and Park Min-seong's expressions and felt a strange surge. Why are they showing me this when they said? As his brain reached that thought, his mind started to grow hazy. In his subconscious and in his ear, Kim Solium kept hearing a few encouraging words. You're about to do a darkness survey. Relax and enjoy it. At that, the last of his lucky sense flared up. No way. They're actually sending me alone to get a contract on my first day, and it's in a ghost story. Strange info began appearing on the screen. Dark survey dossier, the urban legend Choose Me, stuck inside. It left him disoriented. An urban legend showed up in the dark survey file. Daydream Corp IDDD 243, a darkness born from a choice-based scenario. It appears oddly when accessing links containing specific numbers. Victims are usually chased by killers or demons, and when writ, he lost track of time. Kim Solium's mind seemed reborn and he gasped, it's so dark. Then a fierce light rose in that pitch black. The light felt like a dose that woke his fuzzy mind. He began to return to normal orbit. I'm inside the darkness now. This is the convenience store from that online post. In his view, everything seemed frozen in one spot, utterly motionless, as if it had been sitting there alone for a long time. The clock on the wall chimed 12:01. Kim Solium's head cleared strongly. At least it looked like being stuck here in pajamas wouldn't be a concern. This darkness is a ghost story engineered to harvest mental jolts and screams. In other words, your life isn't actually threatened. So for a coward like me, there's only one answer. Take some water and survive 3 days. A pair of hollow, milky white eyes appeared in his mind. This made Kim Solium startle in terror. He slowly stepped back a few paces and wondered why there was a face inside the refrigerator like that. Suddenly a voice echoed in Kim Solium's ear. Choose me. A ghost story appeared in the dark survey file. Victims are usually chased by a killer or a demon. Kim Solium's consciousness began to fade. He moved as if controlled. A deep, sinister whisper hissed, caught you, and if they catch you. The voice seemed to whisper right next to Kim Solium's ear. He recoiled in fear, his eyes full of terror. When he snapped back, Kim Solium bitterly realized it would restart from the beginning. The clock suddenly struck exactly 12 o'clock. Kim Solium clenched his teeth, sweat streaming down his cheeks, back at the starting line. Do this crappy loop for 3 days. Might as well die now. And there's no guarantee it'll end after 3 days, because if you're caught you return to the start. He stared at the infinity symbol on the watch and guessed. Truly an endless resurrection loop. Kim Solium wandered along dazed like a lost soul. A coward like me would go mad before the 3 days are up. I need another plan. After a bit he couldn't hold himself up and suddenly collapsed. First hide, then think it through. If I just hide under the counter. A terrifying face with two huge hollow eyes suddenly appeared before him. It started to slip and slowly move closer from right behind. Kim Solium felt it too and went pale with fear. But the face didn't stop. It kept inching forward slowly. Kim Solium, terrified, kept folding himself into the corner of a cabinet. His complexion turned ghastly, of course. Too many cliché motifs where they suddenly shove their face up to yours in moments like this. In the midst of panic, he slapped a hand to his forehead and racked his brain. A single sudden move and you're spotted. He didn't even dare look at his phone because the screen light would give him away. He gradually controlled his breathing and started searching for a few old memory fragments. Memories are the only thing I can rely on now. Think, Kim Solium must have some anomaly to exploit. Just when he didn't know what to do, a thought flashed case where elapsed time differed from the record. Urban Legend Investigation Log number 23 abnormal. Content, chased all night, 12 hours, by a madwoman in an abandoned house. Special note, investigation ended after 16 hours 11 minutes. The more famous an urban legend in an area, the more anomalies develop. That's the nature of an encyclopedia page written by many people. When a new legend is created, it follows established rules. But as it spreads and more entries accumulate, similar motifs begin to repeat. And that's when people start fabricating exceptions. They insert plot twists to escape repetition and boredom. The record I recalled is one of those exceptions. A log describing how a field team survived 12 hours inside an abandoned hospital. But special note, the investigation ended after 16 hours 11 minutes. In a legend that should have ended after surviving 12 hours. They needed an extra 4 hours to get out, an instance where the anomaly distorted time during the investigation. There must be some special note in that log. Kim Solium tried to force his memory back to that day. Remember. The more he thought, the more frantic he became. He grabbed his hair, teeth clenched, anxious. Okay, what was it? They definitely messed something up. Once again, Kim Solium's mind stirred, recalling that they hadn't received the doctor's end-of-shift notice. 3 hours 12 minutes since entering the darkness. At 3:12, employee Lee D accidentally cut the phone line at the counter. 12:12 from entering the darkness. 12:12 had passed. It was 7:12 in the morning, but the sun still hadn't risen. The legend didn't end, and the doctor's shift kept going. 16 hours since entering the darkness. 16:09, the phone line was successfully restored. The phone rang immediately. 16:11, the doctor answered the handover call. 16:11, the doctor vanished. The legend ended. Although this case was a time-extended one, it contained a clue. There's a specific trigger element that can force the legend's time to finish. The more he thought about that legend, the more uneasy he became. If it doesn't end because the time mark trigger failed, then maybe if I trigger it earlier. Just then, a voice over the loudspeaker announced a message to all staff. The announcement came on in a rapid, repeating burst. Announcement to all staff. Announcement to all staff, facing hundreds, thousands of identical notices. Kim Solium felt his brain about to overload. I know, right? The announcement didn't stop. If anything, it echoed even more frantically. Kim Solium knew exactly where this ridiculous suddenness came from. It knew he was here, and it was teasing him. I have to get out of here and run fast. Even if I get caught, I can't let myself get used to this total helplessness. Kim Solium mustered all his confidence now, since it stands right in front of the counter. If I slip out to the side. Before he could finish the vow, his gaze froze, and he glanced to one side. Kim Solium finally spotted a huge creature clutching the loudspeaker. A low, hoarse voice whispered, "Got you." Using every ounce of strength and confidence he had, Kim Solium lunged forward, his mind wavering. Rebirth, 3 days. In your dreams, will I survive that long? Kim Solium suddenly halted, his face paling, sweat dripping steadily. If this keeps looping like this, my mind will snap. Somehow I have to find the trigger and start it to push this legend's end earlier. Everything in the room began to fall into an oppressive silence. He looked up at the clock for the current date and time. April 4th, exactly 12. If I can force anything that's supposed to happen 3 days from now to occur before its deadline based on that clock, the legend will end. But what actually happens at the convenience store 3 days later? Stocking items that are only due in 3 days. That's too complicated. Something a bit simpler. After spinning through time over and over, Kim Solium suddenly realized, wide-eyed, the expiration dates. Then it clicked: convenience stores dispose of food as soon as it expires. if I find a product expiring within 3 days and dispose of it early. With that thought, Kim Solium dashed into the convenience store, grabbed a ready meal and checked it. Jackpot. Though inwardly relieved, his eyes were still full of fear as he glanced left and right. A weird, hazy vision began to form in his head. A computer screen suddenly lit up, though the room held no soul. Seeing that nothing around him had changed, Kim Solium told himself it was just his imagination. The ghost still hadn't shown up. Most POS systems can change date and time. First, I'll set it 3 days ahead. April 7th, 11:59 p.m. After confirming it matched, he didn't hesitate and clicked a mouse button. As the click registered, a thought rose unbidden in his mind. Please, let this work. After a while, a system message popped up. Change successful. Kim Solium couldn't help the small smile tugging at his lips. Okay, perfect. Not long after perfection appeared, the system warned, expiration alert, some products nearing their expiry. At that moment, a pitch-black silhouette emerged from the darkness of the room. Its eyes stayed wide open, tracking Kim Solium's every move. It began appearing in all sorts of poses, from normal to downright bizarre. It started to mock him, moving slowly then suddenly lunging fast toward him. Kim Solium bit his lip in terror, forcing himself to endure. Don't look, just get it done. The monster's silhouette gradually faded. Not long after, the system popped up a prompt. Would you like to register expired products for disposal? Kim Solium didn't hesitate and hit the button right away. The moment he clicked, the system announced registration complete. Expired products have been scheduled for disposal. At that instant, sweat streamed from his face onto the floor. It took some time before Kim Solium fully emerged from the darkness that had enveloped. He glanced at the receipt printer humming away, astonished. Seeing things seemingly settled, Kim Solium finally exhaled success. Told you. Humans really need daylight to survive. His mind had calmed down. Just then Kim Solium exclaimed in surprise, after all, I can finally get out of here. Wait, what? He looked at the papers stored in the safe and was briefly startled. Money. A thought rose, come to think of it. At the bottom of the encyclopedia entry, there's a fun note. It actually pays cash when you complete it. So it's kind of generous, just enjoys scaring people. Kim Solium mused and let out a half laugh. Elsewhere, the sky suddenly brought up a black storm. The earliest new hire won't show up for 3 days, so in the meantime I should finish this paperwork. Yoon-hae stretched as she walked, sick of writing reports. Park Min-seong behind her chuckled in agreement. Nailed it. He was walking when he stopped, eyes glued to the tablet. Suddenly a beam of light flashed brightly, and at that same moment Kim Solium reappeared. After a few seconds registering his return, Park Min-seong and Yoon-hae stood dumbfounded. Kim Solium paid little mind and focused on the report. I've filled it out, Dream Collector. The legend's minimum completion time was 3 days. Kim Solium completed it in 1 hour 24 minutes. About an hour before Kim Solium returned from the convenience store, Park Min-seong and Yoon-hae were standing somewhere outside having a smoke. While quietly watching the sky fill with dark clouds, Yoon-hae's thoughts drifted to him. Right now, the newest rookie on Team D is stuck alone inside a ghost story. Her eyes half closed with mixed feelings. She wasn't too worried for Kim Solium since this was just the opening difficulty. A 3-day scenario is pretty mild for ghost stories. Even if it drags on, he still has food, so probably no problem. To be clear about why he had to go through this right after joining, throwing a rookie into the darkness alone is Team D's initiation ritual. Naturally, many new employees quit because of this terrifying initiation. As a result, Yoon-hae and Park Min-seong were roasted by HR every time the event happened. If it's so unstable, why does Team D still keep this initiation ritual? Because if someone can't handle even this, they'd better quit now before they throw their life away. They'd rather let newcomers feel the job's harshness from the start than blindly push on and face irreparable consequences. Neither of them wants to watch a colleague, especially a rookie, die like that. Those who once appeared in their old stories have since disappeared one by one, leaving only shattered masks on the cold ground and white petals quietly scattered around. Their gazes stopped at the photo of Kim Solium with Kim T at the employee awards. Then a voice broke the silence. But this rookie. Studying his serious face, Yoon-hae casually remarked with her sharp eyes, he's definitely not normal. Park Min-seong nodded in agreement, not even a little bit ordinary. Speaking of which, he remembered Kim Solium's odd calm when told to go into the convenience store. Strangely collect. Moreover, Park Min-seong recalled onboarding new hires and himself. Most rookies panic when they learn what we do, but this kid didn't even blink. Yoon-hae let out an impressed sound after the other's long sentence. Wow, his nerves are steel. With a playful curl at her lips, Yoon-hae judged after meeting Kim Solium once. Looks like the boss has eyes on him. She replied excitedly, we're always glad to get someone brave like that. Taking a deep drag, Yoon-hae pondered the future and sighed. It could be a problem if he's a coward in a unit that dives into urban legends all day, though then again a coward wouldn't survive probation. Unbeknownst to her musing, a Kim Solium had become an exception, a coward who made it through. After chatting and evaluating, Park Min-seong and Yoon Hae reached the same conclusion almost simultaneously. This rookie isn't bad at all. Suddenly, the moment he received the assignment replayed before her eyes and made her doubt that he hadn't written a single note. Hearing that, Park Min-seong immediately explained for him. It's his first job, he probably doesn't know much yet. Thinking that, he stated firmly, I'll have to tell him that taking notes is essential in this line of work. Our lives depend on it. Yoon Hae nodded in agreement. Yes, remind him. She sighed and continued. When someone teaches you, write it down so you can review and understand later. He chuckled in agreement, exactly as if he already knew all that. Little did they know it was thanks to that memory phone stand that Kim Solium actually already knew what others had to fumble through themselves. After relaxing on the company rooftop, Park Min-seong decided to leave. After all, the rookie won't be out for at least 3 days. Yoon Hae, tired, said she'll handle the paperwork while waiting. As they were about to leave, Park Min-seong's tablet suddenly pulsed a few strong beats. Sensing something off, he grabbed it to check and frowned in confusion. Why is it vibrating like this all of a sudden? A sudden burst of light made him hurriedly turn the device the other way. Before he could grasp what was happening, a figure was spat straight out right in front of him. To the astonishment of the 2 senior members from the same team, Kim Solium calmly raised the dream-collecting vial and reported, I cleared the stage already. The moment he finished, both Park Min-seong and Yoon Hae froze where they stood, their minds racing in chaos. A ghost story that should have taken at least 3 days was smashed by a rookie in just 1 hour. Inside, however, Kim Solium was secretly panting in fear, not as calm as he seemed. Phew, I thought my heart was going to stop. A short while later, just as the pastries were set on the table, the familiar voice chimed in. That convenience store case was originally a 3-day ghost story. Sitting across from Kim Solium, Park Min-seong, unbelieving, immediately probed, but 3 days haven't passed yet, how did you get out? Hearing this, he paused for a beat before letting out. After a few seconds of careful silence, he replied curtly, that's obvious, I fast-forwarded time, which left both Park Min-seong and Yoon Hae utterly speechless. He said it as casually as choosing lunch from a menu. To clarify, Kim Solium picked up a pen and pointed at the tablet screen. Because there's a time limit there, I figured there must be an event that marks time passing inside that ghost story. And if I trigger the 3rd-day event earlier, the ghost story would end sooner. So by discarding food according to expiration dates, I could clear the stage before the 3 days were up. After hearing the whole analysis, both Yoon Hae and Park Min-seong fell into absolute silence and reached the same conclusion. He's a field investigation genius. In their eyes, he's the guy who has everything figured out and says with enough swagger that ghost cases are the easiest thing in the world, and anyone can do them. The escape trick has been exposed. The meteoric rise of outstanding rookie Kim Solium, a newcomer breaking all records, these thoughts ignited the veteran instincts of Yoon Hae and Park Min-seong. No resignations allowed. We can't risk him escaping. No, I mean we need to help him fit in properly. Without much lingering, Park Min-seong grabbed Kim Solium's hand with excessive enthusiasm. When you make it big, don't forget me. The rookie Yoon Hae beside him nodded in. He'll definitely surpass me soon and be promoted to assistant manager in no time. But as the atmosphere heated up, Kim Solium suddenly stammered in confusion, making both of them freeze. No, that's not the case, actually. After a few seconds' hesitation, he continued slowly with a face as dark as night, while revealing a very serious truth. I was really scared, so I escaped as fast as I could. Saying that, he even added firmly, next time at least give me an hour's warning. That complaint left both Yoon Hae and Park Min-seong bewildered, but you cleared it in an hour. Hearing this, Kim Solium immediately replied without hesitation, yes, I thought I was a goner. At that moment, both their hearts nearly screamed, okay, stop the tall tales. Putting the earlier bit aside, Yoon Hae lifted a corner of her mouth as she moved to a matter of equal importance. So how much did you earn? The sudden question left him oddly stunned. Seeing his reaction, she glanced at the bag of 1 bills beside them and clarified, you get paid for handling that ghost case. Now Kim Solium understood and hesitated a moment before answering without reserve. I got 10 million won. No sooner had he finished than a pair of long fingers belonging to someone from Group D landed firmly on his shoulder and declared decisively, keep it all for yourself. Kim Solium froze in surprise and questioned back, what? Patting his shoulder to reassure him, Yoon Hae continued in a magnanimous tone, normally the company would take half, but you worked hard so take it all. We'll handle the paperwork with senior-level experience, so you don't need to worry about anything else. Seeing Kim Solium go quiet, she assumed he was shy and quickly pressed, don't be polite, just accept it. But the truth was the amount wasn't just 10 but a full 20 million won. His conscience wavered as he thought, we should have split it. After a round of chatter, she stood up and said with a knowing tone, all right, work's done, time for the important part. Park Min-seong, who'd been quiet until now, chuckled with delight. Ah, time for that then. Their expressions made Kim Solium curious, that he answered excitedly, adding points to the employee welfare shopping site. He booted up the computer and logged into the company intranet. The registration system popped up in an instant. Hello, employee Kim Solium. Points will be granted after review. The desk was neatly arranged with all sorts of cute stationery, and beside it sat a small plush lizard with wide round eyes. The point assessment and accumulation proceeded quickly enough for him to grasp. Solo clearing an E-rank stage grants 100 points. He immediately began searching with deft mouse movements to see if there was anything worth buying with 100 points. The first thing that slammed into his view on the front page was a featured robot vacuum product. Looking at the household items on display, he was a bit taken aback and inwardly thought, nicer than I expected. So how much is that wish ticket anyway? No sooner had that idea popped up than a screen showing a jar that can make wishes come true appeared before his eyes with a bright red price tag. Kim Solium gasped, like being struck by lightning when he read the numbers. 500,000. The little lizard on the desk seemed to sneer and wobble. No way. His mind raced to calculate how much he could earn at high speed. If he soloed an E-stage every day, it'd take 15 years. Then a thought flashed. Wait, what if I enter higher ranks? He opened the points guide by darkness level. E100, D1000, C2500, B10,000, a 100,000 S rated separately. Kim Solium was more astonished. B gives 10,000 points. Of course it wouldn't be that easy. He hypothesized he wouldn't go alone, so if 3 people went and split the fixed 10,000, it only deepened his dilemma. Do I have to clear B 150 times? His heart screamed in helplessness. Are they insane? Civilians' survival rate in B rank is only 2%. He pictured himself going in and out repeatedly in that no-exit ordeal. Kim Solium's soul wanted to evaporate from his body. If I go in there 150 times, I'm a goner. When he finished his tasks, Park Min-seong slowly stepped closer with his ever-friendly smile. Rookie, have you registered your points properly? Contrasting that cheerfulness, Kim Solium was still in shock and didn't bother to look up, pausing before answering, yes sir. Not dwelling on the frightening points topic for long, he scanned the desk piled with decorative items and asked, what's all this on the desk? He looked at it, uttered an amused "oh," and declared, this is the team leader's desk. He was surprised. So this desk actually has an owner. Meanwhile, Park Min-seong continued casually and reminded him, the team leader is on a business trip outside the office, so as long as you don't break the monitor, feel free to use it. Kim Solium felt more certain. Yup, exactly the kind of company that harvests reagents from ghost stories. Trying to reason this place normally is a mistake. Meanwhile, Park Min-seong didn't forget to offer a smoke. No thanks. Rookie firmly refused, no ma'am. As his gaze returned to the data-filled screen, a fierce resolve gradually formed in his mind. I need a way to survive. No sooner had that thought occurred than Kim Solium slowly lifted the keyboard. Tilting it back and forth, he inspected it intently with a calm face. As if this were obvious, looks like I need to take a little shortcut. The moment he flipped the underside of the keyboard and found something odd, he felt a private thrill. There it was. A sticky note carelessly attached with no security awareness, showing team leader Lee Ki-hun's login name and password. Having what he needed, he immediately began typing the information into the screen at lightning speed. I'll log into the welfare shopping site with this account. However, the moment he confirmed access, the system flashed a password mismatch message. Kim Solium had anticipated a small hiccup like this, so he wasn't worried. Because the registration required at least one uppercase letter in the password, all he had to do was capitalize the first letter on the sticky note and enter. Think and done. In an instant, he logged in successfully as the welcome message for manager Lee Ki-hun appeared. The moment that message popped up, the hand under Kim Solium's desk clenched in silent excitement. Yes. Buried deep in the intranet, Daydream Corporation had an ad only visible to management and above. It was called the Alien Shop. Among the aliens that showed up in dark expedition logs, some proved extremely capitalist by selling items to Earthlings. Communication was a bit awkward, and the goods were dangerous, yet the items there were surprisingly useful. And clearly, since they targeted Daydream employees as prime customers, managers hid illegal ad links across the company's network. Luckily, Kim Solium remembered exactly how to get in because the access method was simple. Just click around the welfare shopping page at random. With calm pupils, as if using the boss's account on a shady link were no big deal, he followed each step, then hit the back button 5 times in a row. Suddenly, a small green hand appeared with a flurry of tempting lines. Anniversary gratitude sale, up to 80% off, bored of work. Click here to get stronger. Click here for some cool gear. Click here. Watching the little animated hand wave like it was saying hello, Kim Solium felt nothing but trapped. To clarify Daydream's pay and benefits, when clearing an E-rank dark stage under the company's set guidance, employees receive 50% of the proceeds. Deng Deng bluntly summarized. In other words, the company skimmed the remaining 10%. Ding Ding chimed in coldly that the rookie's first dark stage profits would be seized entirely. What a delightful little scam. Facing the frog hands bobbing endlessly on the screen, Kim Solium drew on his own knowledge. This prehistoric-looking web ad was ransomware for an exclusive shopping mall visible only to management. Clicking the shady banner grants direct access, and since no actual cursor was clicking, the thing seemed more alive than ever. Anniversary customer appreciation. Bored of the party. Want to get stronger. Want some ultra-cool item. Sweat trickled down his cheek. Kim Solium clearly felt the consequences of randomly clicking while using Lee Ki-hun's account. The company's computer logs connection history, so just save the link and log in from home. So after a busy search at the office, he could finally go back to his company-assigned home and browse the site freely on his phone. Thanks to the ad address noted by the Information Processing Center, Kim Solium tapped across the screen. If I manually typed the saved link. And then in the next moment, a shopping interface appeared, though the whole frame flickered with noisy bands like a serious display glitch. But after a dance of numbers and characters, the official interface of the Cosmic Mall stabilized and showed ultra-cool items from beyond the stars along with buttons to view them. The starry cosmic display hit his sight and made Kim Solium pause. So tacky, and it's not even optimized for phone. However, regardless of its looks, he still decided to press the link to list button. Can't let the tackiness fool me. The items sold here are. And then in the next moment, the little spaceship icon hit the like button and spoke up. Show me the items. In the blink of an eye, a slew of various items popped up in Kim Solium's view as a list. Odd, indeed. A rush of glee swept through him at the unexpected find. I recognize more than half of these. Score. Just glancing at the icons and notes for each item, he could already filter them. I know the dinner set, the walkie-talkie, and the picnic kit. The other two are pretty new to me. But the first unfamiliar item with the image of a distress bell was priced at over 60 million won, which made Kim Solium immediately hesitate. Too far over budget. Skip. With 20 million won earned from the convenience store ghost case, he wondered what purchase would yield the best return. Since his first income was modest compared to what the shop sold, his eyes showed a casual whatever as he flicked his finger. All right, this one it is. After placing the order, there'd of course be a wait, while the seller processed the info via the Please Wait interface transferring money from your account. And not to keep Kim Solium waiting, the notification bar updated with 4 big words: purchase successful. Beyond that, the spaceship icon added that the item was being shipped by rocket. A bead of sweat rolled down his cheek. Some spectacle seemed to have just hit him and stunned him for a moment. It turned out to be nothing more than the delivery timer counting down in seconds as the numbers slowly ticked down. 0, 0, 0, 0, 2, 0, 0, 0, 0, 2, then finally 0, 0, 0, 0, 1. And the moment the wait finished, a piercing nylon chalkboard sound rang out as a spatial hole yawned open in midair and started dropping the items Kim Solium had ordered. Seeing the boxes steaming hot just seconds after ordering, he was still reeling and could only let out an odd exclamation before silence fell. Once he recovered, Kim Solium couldn't help but marvel at the rocket speed delivery from the alien shop. This crazy world actually had its perks, not just horrors. Of course, the first thing after getting the goods was to unwrap them. The items he chose were laid out on the wooden table in his bedroom. Alice's picnic set he already knew about, and a silver serpent he'd never seen before. To examine more closely, Kim Solium popped open the first item, Alice's picnic kit, which temporarily alters an item's effect. Drinks have their effect doubled, while cookies have the effect. It'd be useful to carry 1 or 2 of these on you. Next, he didn't forget to pick up the silver serpent, an item on sale from about 20 million won down to 5 million. Kim Solium bought it on impulse after seeing that outrageous original price. The deeper reason for his choice was investment. There are many types of ghost story currencies in this world, and specific powers can convert them into cash. If he bought them on discount now, later they could be fully cashed out. Since no one was watching, Kim Solium folded his hands and prayed earnestly. One day it'll yield profit. Just waiting, it'll fly to the moon. Not gambling, not wishful thinking. A supremely rational decision. And why didn't Kim Solium buy the other items? There's no deep reason, simply because he couldn't use them. The top item on the alien shop's bestseller list, the blood-sucking dining set, is a weapon for fighting demons directly. Go for it, Kim Solium. So the inevitable result for him would be nothing less than suicide into the beyond with no way back home. Moreover, the peculiar phrase in the item's name made him wonder who would suck blood from a ghost. Would you dress up as a nurse and get the convenience store ghost to sit still for extraction? I will extract the essence of your dream. The same goes for the wide-range walkie-talkie. Convincing the boss to carry that would be absurd. Assistant manager, that walkie-talkie is an item, not a toy. At that thought, Kim Solium got death stares from Yoon-hae. Where did you get that? Just imagining it made sweat trickle down his cheek. If she asks where I got it, how can I tell her I logged in with the boss's ID to buy it? In the end, Kim Solium decided that items like Alice's picnic kit and the silver serpent were absolutely the best choices right now. After all the receiving and spending, he needed to tally what was in his bag. 4 things: the memory phone stand, the smile sticker, Alice's picnic kit, and the silver serpent. A moment of reflection followed, then a sigh carrying mixed emotions. This sounds weird, but buying imaginary items in real life feels pretty great. The system popped up a note at the right time. Looks like Kim Solium really enjoyed his shop. However, everything has pros and cons. That night he slept in nightmares and soaked his sheets with sweat, because the downside of shopping was that the fictional ghosts came bundled as a free gift. At the Daydream building towering in the sun, a familiar voice echoed through the wide space. We manage a few ghost stories regularly, right? Today we'll dive into one of them. It turned out the voice came from Lively Team D, where Yoon-hae offered useless consolation to talented dark stage finisher Kim Solium. It's just a D-rank dark pit, nothing to worry about. Park Min-seong kept smiling and reassured him. Yep, it's the same level as orientation, so there'll definitely be no problem. Kim Solium wasn't even a bit enthusiastic though. No, that actually left me traumatized. Seeing he was still down, she added confidently, "You cleared it with zero knowledge. Now you've got the guidebook, so there's no way you can't do it." Park Min-seong chimed in excitedly. "We'll leave as soon as the team leader arrives." After a pause, Kim Solium replied, "Yes." The brain quietly searched for positives. At least it's better than playing tag with a convenience store ghost alone. After getting the satisfactory answer, he handed over a document titled Ranking Handbook and the answer sheet for the 3rd quiz program. "We're going this afternoon, so read the guide first." Of course, Park Min-seong couldn't skip a detailed briefing for a newbie who's already had 2 cases like him. It's a ghost story you'll join as a contestant in a quiz game. If you answer wrong, you get a terrible punishment. Just memorize the answers and don't do anything weird, and you'll be fine. Then leaning slightly, he asked, "Should I give you a paper guide so you can take notes?" Unexpectedly, Kim Solium's calm reply was, "No need." Both Yoon-hae and Park Min-seong, despite everything they'd been through, were stunned by his declaration. "I've memorized it all." Recalling the moment they assigned the convenience store case to Kim Solium, Park Min-seong raised his voice. "So that's why you don't have notes?" She was so surprised she asked. "What?" In their eyes, he was nothing less than a genius with a memory able to recall thousands of digits of pi. Sweat ran down his cheek as Park Min-seong declared in a firm tone, "The team leader will find working with you extremely easy." Even Yoon-hae admitted it. The label on Kim Solium was now Exploration Prodigy and Rookie Memorization King. Unsure why the two overreacted, he didn't dwell. His mind turned to a more pressing thought. "Come to think of it, I still haven't met Team D's leader." Glancing at Lee Ki-hun's neatly decorated desk, he thought to himself, "They said they'd come this afternoon, so I'll meet them soon enough." But despite that thought, just when things seemed set to run smoothly, the weird twist came. Yoon-hae answered a phone call and rubbed her head awkwardly. "Sorry, no, that's going to be difficult. Our team leader isn't back at the office yet." "Oh, I see." After the call ended, she actually swore out loud at what she'd heard. "Are these people insane? They told us to go in with the rookie." Park Min-seong immediately asked to confirm. "They want just the 3 of us to go." With an exasperated sigh, Yoon-hae recounted the whole story. "It's the end of the month, and the rookie only started yesterday but did well. It's just grown-up nonsense about hitting company quotas." Hearing that, he immediately understood. Oh, work quotas. Anyway, since things had come this far, she bluntly posed the key question to Kim Solium. "Rookie, have you memorized the entire answer sheet?" He couldn't help but wonder to himself, "Could we bow out if I said I hadn't memorized it?" But before he could speak a word, Park Min-seong swept him onto the bandwagon. "Hey, he's memorized that whole thick manual, so this is nothing." That left him with one sinking thought: "I'm doomed." Seeing Kim Solium offer no resistance, Yoon-hae decisively urged, "Then fine, today we'll go by ourselves." Before leaving, she made it clear, "These things happen sometimes, so don't worry." After a pause, Kim Solium answered yes. Now regret bubbled up to accuse him. "I told you not to do it," he murmured, "so is this my punishment for taking that 20 million won?" However, Kim Solium had good reason to hesitate about the 3rd quiz show. The problem was he had never read about this ghost in the Dark Expedition records. He kept scrolling and searching every phrase, but returned nothing, which made things harder than ever. Of course, he'd expected some ghosts might be new to him, but he hadn't imagined he'd be thrown into such an unfamiliar case so soon. Does the company's dark-run list run much deeper than I thought? Then Yoon-hae handed him an old-style postcard worn by years and said the entry method was simple. Just write your name in the sender field. Without hesitation, the three of them filled in their representative mask names: Otter, Kestrel, and Roe Deer. After carefully forming each letter, Kim Solium finished the final stroke. As the pen lifted, the postcard with their names began to spin through the ink-black space. One day I found a strange postcard in an old magazine. It came with a flyer recruiting contestants for a quiz show, but when I searched there was no broadcast like that. Maybe they just used it as a vintage postcard theme. Curious, I wrote my name in the sender field for fun and got pulled into a truly bizarre quiz show. Folks, what exactly is a performance? In the next instant, the space around Team D shifted into a completely different scene, where blinding lights from the fixtures flared as if cranked to full power. In the following moment, the third quiz show officially launched with a captivating host, a proper stage, and a sharply dressed MC. It didn't stop there. Drumbeats echoed while Park Min-seong and Yoon-hae stood composed under his rhythmic voice. Stylish band music played, and the participants bristled with enthusiasm as the new contestant Kim Solium stared in astonishment. Zhao ramped the hype to the max. No, that's not all. The show is really created through our connection with the crisp flip of cue cards rose in a higher register from tonight's host, who added, and from now on don't forget to cheer loud. Winking mischievously at the TV, he radiated confidence as if holding everything in his hand and announced, "Welcome to the third quiz show." Zhao launched into his hosting with zeal. "Oh, our contestants today." He stood before the contestants with a syrupy, folk-concerned tone. "Welcome to the third quiz show. I know you're nervous about your first broadcast, but a smile is the foundation of any program." A white smiling face appeared in the middle of Zhao's screen, so let's all face it with our brightest smiles. Kim Solium, looking at the host's appearance, blurted out, "TV." Zhao was still enthusiastically hosting. Great, ready to shoot. He stared at the screen above him in puzzlement. There's a TV where his head should be. Is that the host of this quiz show? He's actively hyping the crowd, so let's give one final round of applause. Blinding lights switched on and flooded the place because the screen displayed a hand icon and used body language to show appreciation to the viewers. Your cheers are the reason Zhao and this show exists. The audience below was equally excited. Kim Solium breathed a sigh of relief and clapped along with the crowd. This isn't as pee-your-pants scary as I thought. Comparing before and now, he exclaimed with joy. Compared to that, this is nothing. Thinking it's just a host wearing a TV mask helped a lot. He pictured the whole place and judged it silently. The studio's not bad, a bit vintage, but just a normal studio with an audience, kind of like classic American talk show. Suddenly something occurred to him that made him freeze for a few seconds. In Kim Solium's head, the pieces of the puzzle clicked into place as he thought seriously. Wait, hold on. Classic American talk show turned quiz angle. A situation where contestants already know the answer. He broke into a cold sweat as he realized what this ghost story was. Contrary to his anxious thoughts, Zhao kept cheerfully hosting. Looks like we're all ready to start, so let's begin right away. They slowly began the countdown. 3. He remembered a ghost story in Daydream's catalog, ID do A104. Everyone else chatted happily, unlike Kim Solium too. Kim Solium grasped the origins of the disaster-grade scandal that left countless casualties. Darkness levels. The countdown was shouted by all one. Fear was etched on Kim Solium's face as the official survivor count. A stark round number flashed in his mind. Terrifying, insane. Kim Solium steeled himself to continue this unstable program. If he fell into a ghost story, he'd still have to work. Horrifying, icy-tainted footage gradually formed in his mind. While Kim Solium was lost in thought, the show fully began. The tragedy started from a darkness themed like a 1970s American talk show, initially ranked D. The form on the guy's screen changed. "Good evening, viewers, you're watching the third quiz show." He cheerfully and confidently asked the audience if everyone was looking forward to Wednesday. Footage kept appearing alongside his narration, and the host explained the talk show had a different theme for each day of the week. Yet no case had ever been recorded entering any day other than day 0. He suddenly shifted tone to emphasize, "I have transition footage that can only enter the day 0 talk show." The intro and lights began to focus on the masked contestants, because that's the only day we get to meet our adorable new faces. After some time on the show, with preparation there was no harm done. The field investigation team had entered from episode 1 with a full answer sheet for the main non-quiz day, up to episode 110. 99 investigations were completed with no casualties, including prizes. Everything was about to change because of something. However, what followed occurred in episode 111, investigation number 100. Back in the present, he enthusiastically began introductions. Now let's introduce our contestants, the otter, the kestrel, and Mr. Roe Deer. The icons on his screen shifted fluidly with his words and emotions. Can our contestants keep their winning streak this week? Don't change the channel, stay with us. The atmosphere was festive all around, but worry was clear on Kim So-lium's face. The third quiz show's 110th episode starts now. His eyes suddenly widened in shock as he realized the 110th meant the 99th investigation, not the 100th. Yoon-hae suddenly turned his attention to him. She looked at him with a sly gleam and a smile, while Park Min-seong beamed so hard his eyes nearly closed. Kim So-lium scanned the scene and assessed. Realistically, the chance of a disaster hitting exactly on the 100th run is slim. The seniors look relaxed. It's fine, it has to be fine. Contrary to their casualness, he stayed deadly serious. Still, don't let your guard down. This is a ghost story after all. A dangerous rule popped into his head. Any disrespect to the show gets you eliminated, and obstructing the broadcast gets you burned. Their faces were displayed on the screens, and the quiz show was being broadcast live. He realized the risk he was in. Any spontaneous action off-script is basically self-execution. Zhao, mic in hand, noticed his expression and asked with concern, "Oh my, Mr. Roe Deer looks worried. Are you okay?" Kim So-lium made up a plausible excuse. "Ah yes, I'm just a bit nervous. It's my first time on a quiz show." Things shifted, taking on a more serious tone. "Good, very good. Let's start with an easy question." Question appeared before Kim So-lium that seemed simple. Which of the following is not a component of the human body? 1 water, 2 iron, 3 oil, 4 earth. The answer came instantly. Number 4, earth. The smiling icon reappeared and Zhao gave a thumbs up. Correct. Park Min-seong answered with a grin and an announcement rang out. Otter, correct, impressive. He was amazed to see the three of them answer so easily. No way, even the kestrel. Kim So-lium pondered, while Zhao hovered nearby like added pressure. Mr. Roe Deer seemed torn over his choice. He really was hesitating. His eyes lit with certainty as he answered. Number 3. Zhao repeated it to tease the audience's curiosity. Number 3. So what fate awaits Mr. Roe Deer? You've chosen option 3. A smiling icon reappeared alongside the correct symbol. Zhao happily announced to everyone. Correct. Kim So-lium finally relaxed a little, the tension easing. I mean, the answer was obviously 3, but still. Questions kept coming and Zhao's celebratory calls rang out. Okay, next question, correct, correct. Oh, this time we'll really follow the manual and get through safely. Wait again. Correct. The studio cheered for the current streak and Kim T exclaimed in surprise. Incredible. The contestants are on a roll, answering every question right. Before we know it, we're at this episode's final question. He reached toward Kim So-lium and asked whether they could conquer this final question too. Zhao enthusiastically checked in. Mr. Roe Deer, are you ready? Contrary to that, he looked utterly exhausted. Yes. Zhao shouted excitedly. Let's begin. The next question appeared. At what percentage of blood loss does a human die? 140%, 245%, 350%, 455%. Kim So-lium's face went blank, and unsure if he was fully conscious, he uttered his answer. He slowly gave his answer. Number 1. Zhao quickly echoed him and compared with the choice he'd picked, number 1. But to everyone's surprise, the answers didn't stop there. Number 2, and even number 3 and number 4 too. Faced with his behavior, Zhao was utterly speechless, shown by a silent icon. Kim So-lium, brimming with confidence, told Zhao that all of them were correct. 100 sharp eyes below watched and listened to his every word. On average, when a person loses about 30 to 40% of their blood, their life is in danger, so if they lose more than that, they'll die. Zhao steered the show away from boredom. Pick multiple correct answers. Bold move. Zhao double-checked. Do you want to change your answer? Meanwhile, someone was frantically running around doing something, but he'd already locked in his choice. No. Zhao was told the answer from someone off stage, and Kim So-lium calmly repeated, I'm keeping that choice. He heard that and froze on the spot. The answer our writers intended was actually number 1. Zhao didn't scold him. Instead, he led the praise for the answer, leaving him utterly astonished. But wouldn't Mr. Roe Deer's answer be much more memorable? He cheerfully announced, we'll count that as a perfect, excellent answer, 100 points. Kim So-lium sighed in relief on hearing it. He's alive. The lights focused back to one spot, and Zhao began his closing remarks. And with that, the third quiz show's 110th episode comes to an end. Zhao stressed the most important point. In the end, there can be only one. Park Min-seong breathed easy while Yoon-hae let out a tired little yawn. Everything ended smoothly. Her impolite yawn was reminded. If you really can't hold it, please be polite and do it where the camera can't see, Zhao repeated. But in the end, there can be only one. The final spotlight hit Kim So-lium, leaving him baffled as he awkwardly accepted the show's congratulations. Mr. Roe Deer, congratulations. Zhao handed him a gift box from the show amid huge applause. He was a bit embarrassed but remained polite. Thank you, everyone. The Though gratefully accepting, he still wondered, why me? Kim Solium exhaled in relief. Whatever the reason for celebrating, it's over now. Kim Solium told himself that once the cameras were off, they could leave. Two unexpected numbers appeared. 99. Zhao began his farewell with mock regret but cheerfully said, "Sadly, it's time to close the third quiz show. See you next Wednesday. Tomorrow we'll have an even better guest." Zhao's broadcast image began to glitch out. The images of others also glitched to end the show. But curiously, Kim Solium's expression stayed full of surprise at something. The lights focused again on the contestants' podium. A row of spotlights kept shining, oddly bright. The lights homed in on the people around, leaving the three standing there bewildered. The numbers began to change again. They just stood there looking at each other, with huge question marks above their heads. Park Minseong and Yoon Hae's faces turned more serious. Those under the lights looked around in confusion. The numbers kept moving non-stop. The final number appeared and Kim Solium's face showed clear terror. 100. Kim Solium suddenly stared at those under the spotlight and wondered, the field investigation team staff, how did they end up trapped in the same ghost story like this? The others stood there frozen, wondering what on earth was happening. Are they really puzzled by what's unfolding before them? A sheet of paper still appeared for those who arrived before us, bearing the words, "Game Show Handbook. Interfering with the broadcast will result in incineration." A spontaneous flame suddenly erupted on the set. Yoon Hae gaped at the blaze, rising up. Zhao snapped his fingers and cut through everyone's confusion with a showy voice. "Surprised. Here's a preview of the members appearing next Tuesday." Kim Solium glanced nervously at the smoldering ashes beside him, forcing himself to think, don't react at all. The camera opposite was still lit, so he realized it was still recording. From that still recording camera, he remembered a rule. Any behavior showing disrespect to the show gets you kicked out immediately. His hand began to shake uncontrollably, and he cursed silently, "Damn it, seriously damn it." He reluctantly raised the box with a fake smile and slowly said, "Who will follow in my footsteps next? Tune in next week." Music played as confetti and fake flowers burst forth. Kim Solium kept performing for the camera, while the other guy stood by clapping. Zhao hugged him and waved a casual goodbye, and Kim Solium forced a reluctant smile. What a pity, but that's it for today. We'll be back tomorrow with an even more exciting show. Zhao changed the on-screen icon to bid the audience farewell. The stage lights shone again, and after a smooth shoot, Zhao exhaled in relief, nearly ruined a live broadcast. Thank goodness all went well. Another crew member busily swept up the ashes. Zhao cheerfully quipped an invitation to Kim Solium. "Hey, you handled that quickly. Want to be a regular guest?" He politely declined, "I have a job already." While he remained nonchalant, the three others panicked. "Oh no, what a shame. The new contestants must have been terrified. I'm sure they didn't mean to sabotage the broadcast. Don't be too discouraged." Zhao cheerfully told the three of them in advance that they'd soon have a chance to participate too. The staffer quickly leaned in to whisper something to Zhao. The sad icon replaced the previous cheerfulness. He stepped closer in a doleful tone and vaguely revealed, "This is a tough one to announce." The image of the show's sign collapsing flashed in his mind. "Our program has just been canceled." Zhao's news made Kim Solium's face drop. To be precise, the third game show was canceled. Not that our whole program ended, but the fun competition segment was replaced. Yoon Hae also scowled, trying to follow his rambling words. Of course that doesn't mean it's over. We have good news." A worried thought popped up. No way. His sudden announcement stunned her. "We'll invite all of you to take part in this new segment too." Kim Solium was sweating with anxiety at this turn of events. Important information surfaced in his mind. Exploration log number 100. A paper appeared stating the third game show was completed. He reviewed all the details. It started on the same set as previous episodes. The current events were unfolding exactly as he remembered. However, the show's name had changed. The host explained to the confused staff that the third game was canceled because a contestant answered correctly 99 times in a row, making the penalties meaningless, and that segment too unstimulating. He anxiously thought of the scripts and understood, and the new segment is. Zhao cut through Kim Solium's thoughts. It's even pre-recorded, so it'll be much easier than before. He was still overjoyed, oblivious to everyone else's glum faces. "Even if I'm only a supporting role, I'll do my best to make a great show." A voice cut in to interrupt him. "Wait," Yoon Hae tiredly spoke up. "We've already participated, so we're heading back now." Zhao's screen flipped to a terrifying red with an annoyed tone. "The shoot isn't over yet. Are you seriously going to leave?" Zhao closed in on her with an intimidating air and warned gently, "Oh, come on. The notices were written on the registration postcard. It'd be awkward if you left halfway through." A blazing icon appeared on Zhao's screen to show his anger as he snapped. "Is that really impossible for you?" Kim Solium cut in to soothe both of them. No, we didn't expect to have to join two shows back to back. He gently reasoned that anyone can make mistakes on air, his mind set on preventing casualties. I've got to stop this from getting worse. Kim Solium offered a polite suggestion. I think we need some time to prepare, so we'll excuse ourselves for today, and he vowed to himself at all costs. I must find an excuse to get out of here. He set a suitable appointment. We'll come back next Tuesday. The logistics guy raised a sign showing preparations were complete, and he lamented, oh dear, looks like the set is all ready. Zhao flatly ordered them to sit down, ignoring their discomfort. Take your seats, it's time to start the show. The stage lights blazed on Zhao while Kim Solium muttered bitterly, I can't stand this guy at all. Zhao started the countdown himself, and everything began again. 3, 2, 1, go. Zhao resumed the show enthusiastically, though this time the mood was a bit creepy. Hello viewers, the joy of Tuesday, the passion of Tuesday. Right now you're watching the latest on our talk. Zhao held the script to continue. No need to mourn the end of the third game show, because we've prepared an upgraded version of the quiz show. Zhao kept hosting as a terrifying conductor in the shape of a pig gradually appeared. After all, what reaches the heart most is the melody, especially the singing. The aura from the conductor spread to the contestants, making them uneasy, a chorus creating such beautiful sounds. You're definitely going to love it. He slowly announced the new segment's name as the conductor fully revealed himself, huge and grotesque, yet Zhao stood calmly before it and shouted excitedly. The third chorus. A streak of syrup, long dried, dripped from his eye while his face was riddled with pin marks. Allow me to introduce the guest we've invited for this new segment. The conductor of the hellish chorus and the butcher of filthy melodies, disgusting yet magnificent, and his splendid equipment now. He suddenly stopped, glanced around and said, please wait a moment. Zhao quickly continued announcing to everyone, the conductor's equipment is finally arrived. Mysterious round discs attached to cords appeared. It's unclear what instruments they are. The discs' cold hues, combined with the show's red lights, created a truly horrifying atmosphere. On the rims of those discs were carved faces that seemed to be screaming. Those below saw the floating objects and were terrified. Who will join the chorus? Let's honor our new faces with the first trial. All eyes were steered by Zhao toward the new staff. Oh, here's your question. The question flashed on the screen in front of Siren waiting for an answer. Which of the following creatures lives the longest? 1 a pig, 2 humans, 3 rabbits, 4 fleas. She told herself if she just answered correctly everything would be fine, right? It's how the third game show worked too. Inside she tried, but outside she was sweating, her voice shaking in fear as she slowly blurted, humans, number 2 humans. She heard the announcement and rejoiced. Correct, congratulations, you passed. Suddenly a head was severed from its neck, blood spraying everywhere as the body toppled down. Details of the incident came into Kim Solium's mind. The conductor of the sacrifice comprised 1 conductor and 13 silver trays he summoned. Blood-red cries from the round discs as Zhao continued hosting, finally. He announced loudly, the first member of the chorus is in position. The player's severed head, its lower face smeared with congealed blood, lay neatly on the plate. Humans are humans. Kim Solium fully understood the show's format. Participants' heads were placed on silver trays and selection depended on that day's broadcast. Heads fused with the trays would emit words and instrumental sounds, forming an a cappella without instruments, with up to 7 heads recorded. He knew the effect of the first head, mild headache, anxiety, and sudden mood swing. A player seeing the gruesome scene screamed in pain. The conductor kept muttering human, and when the player stared at the still screaming head, they screamed, siren. Her eyes bulged red, tears and snot streaming. Siren, the conductor repeated, number 2 is human. Another flame burst forth, seemingly consuming her, while Zhao calmly announced, next up will be. Keeman flinched in terror as someone touched his neck. Are you ready? He resolutely told himself he'd take the punishment rather than that fate, then panicked and shouted to refuse. I don't know the answer. A beautiful flame and bright flowers appeared, burning his head without hesitation. Oh no, eliminate. The atmosphere grew extremely tense after witnessing the other's grim fates. What a pity, you won't be joining the magnificent chorus. The camera moved to the gore-splattered, congealed blood, and Zhao lamented. Only 5 minutes of recording, and a whole team is gone. Kim Solium showed visible dread, but remained clear-headed enough to reason. The punishment system was gone. Answering incorrectly meant immediate elimination, but answering correctly meant your head would be severed, and you'd become a grade A ghost. The images in his head blurred and interfered, and then he suddenly remembered something he'd long ignored. The images of those superiors faded, and he realized their names didn't appear in the Ghostverse either. A smiling but blood-red terrifying icon appeared on Zhao's screen. Let's meet the next participants, he said. It's a familiar face. He gently announced, it's your turn to answer, Park Minseong. A terrifying thought struck Park Minseong. If I keep answering like this, will we all die one by one, beheaded or burned to ashes? Right? A coward like me. How could I possibly survive this? The heavy rope tightened around Kim Solium's neck. Sooner or later, it'll be me. He gripped his phone tightly, trying to steady himself, and silently screamed his own name, Kim Solium. This wasn't fear, it was the dizzying overwhelm of witnessing a natural disaster firsthand. This was a catastrophe. Don't forget, Kim Solium, you're the one with the best chance of surviving here. You've read about these crises. The MC's cheerful voice rang out. Come on, Park Min-seong, are you ready? Accompanied by the gruesome sounds of those heads earlier. Human, one human, I am human. Noticing no response, Zhao tilted his head and called Park Min-seong. Despite the cold sweat on his face, Park Min-seong forced a smile, pleasing him. Good. He cleared his throat and asked, before answering, can I say a few words? The MC gladly agreed, oh of course. Park Min-seong's words sounded like a last request. I have a relative in the hospital. If possible, I'd like someone to look after them after this broadcast ends. Zhao's tone swelled with feeling. Oh, how touching. The smiley stickers were dropped into the water. Then he asked, so what's the correct answer then? Just as tension peaked, Kim Solium suddenly raised his hand to address the host. He couldn't believe it and turned back, while Zhao curiously asked, do you have something to say? Seeing the host move toward the new crew member, Park Min-seong worried yet hopeful thought, what is he about to do? It's dangerous if he interrupts the host. He leaned close to the TV edge and whispered, sorry, I'm feeling very dizzy. Can I rest for a moment? Kim Solium's hand rose slowly, and while he wasn't paying attention, soggy smiley stickers were slapped onto it. Zhao's snap of the fingers sounded, oh dear, what a bother. The TV screen displayed a pause icon. We'll take a 30-minute break. They hadn't expected the youngster's ploy to work. Both were astonished. He interrupted the host, yet he didn't burn, he got away with it. He was drenched in cold sweat and silently exhaled in relief. It worked. If this had been live, I'd be dead already. But the cameras around them were still rolling. This is a recorded broadcast. The sticker had successfully stuck under the TV surface. The triple smile sticker, when applied to an intelligent creature, generates a mild sense of friendliness. Alice's picnic set, canned goods, and drinks double the item's effects. It was a gamble to see if it would work on the host, but it seems it wasn't without effect. Unaware, Zhao showed a cheerful icon and said, I'm sorry, I need to replace my antenna. Could you escort him to the waiting room? A winking smiley icon mischievously. He promised to fetch water for me. Go rest and have some water. Though terrified, Kim Solium kept a grin and nodded in response. Thus the plan partly succeeded. Filming would resume in 30 minutes. The timer showed 00:30. I've bought us some time. As he turned to leave, Yoon Hae approached and offered her hand. Now we need to come up with a countermeasure in the waiting room. She confirmed they were alone. Kim Solium understood silent. The waiting room was in the corner. As soon as he entered, he leaned against the wall, sighed, and thought wearily. Though he'd bought a little time, 30 minutes isn't even enough to catch his breath. I have to do something in this time window. He held out his palm and there was a button on it. The first was the item the deputy manager had secretly given him. Kim Solium held it up to his face and guessed. A button-like looking coat button. Could it be an actual push button? Thinking that, he pressed both sides of the button with his fingers, and a faint click sounded. Hearing that sound, Kim Solium immediately recognized it as a call connection tone. It sounded again, but from the other side, and a deep, calm voice came from the button. I'm listening. The solid silhouette of a man appeared. This is Lee Ki-hun speaking. He breathed a surprised thought to himself. A communication device. Over there, Lee Ki-hun asked, who's this? That's the deputy manager Beek Sahyun's call button if connected to the deputy's comms. Kim Solium hurriedly asked, are you the team leader of Team D? And received an affirmative. Yes. Kim Solium steadied himself a bit. No time to waste. He quickly explained the situation as briefly as possible. I'm Kim Solium, a new member of Team D. I have an urgent report to make. In exactly 30 minutes, everyone on Team D will die. Just say it, whether it helps or not. There was a pause, then a calm voice replied, I understand. Summarize the situation for me in 5 minutes. A short while later, Kim Solium had recounted nearly everything that had happened. So if things continue like this, we'll all die the moment the break ends. And received the team leader's response, I understand. Please extend the time by another 30 minutes. He hesitated. That seems impossible. Lee Ki-hun replied, then there's nothing we can do. Hearing that, Kim Solium trembled with fear and a bit of anger. How can he be so calm? Our teammates' lives hang by a thread. He must think this is a joke. He forced himself to ask calmly, if I can buy an extra 30 minutes, is there any chance to turn things around? The other answered, yes, if we have more than 55 minutes from now, we can requisition weapons and infiltration gear with security's permission. Even streamlining procedures still takes about 40 minutes, plus another 20 minutes to enter the corresponding dark zone. We must complete that process to have a chance to rescue Team D. Kim Solium's eyes widened in astonishment. By using special gear to enter the darkness, they could subdue an A-class anomaly single-handed. If that's possible, he'd be a renowned figure. At this level, it'd be a pretty major or memorable role. If it's really someone I know, to verify my hunch, he cautiously asked, "May I ask what kind of mask the team leader is wearing? It could reveal a lot." Back in the hall, the conductor waved his arms, so the other heads sang along to the tune. "Number 2, a human, I am human," Zhao cheerfully called out. "Ah." He asked with concern, "Are you feeling okay? Ready to deliver the best broadcast ever?" Kim Solium nodded and replied, "Yes, thank you for asking." Hearing that, Zhao was extremely pleased and said, "Oh my, you've worked so hard." Ah. He thought again to himself. His tone is very friendly. The smiley stickers effect must still be active. The plan was fully prepared. I don't expect anything more than this. The colleagues seemed to have resigned themselves to their cruel fate. But Kim Solium wouldn't give up. "If the three of us can get out." A moment later, he said calmly, "MC, I have something to tell you." The host asked curiously, "Oh, so you have something to tell me?" While rearranging the plan in his head, Kim Solium tried to steady himself. "First, I need to win the host to our side for this plan. I hate saying things like this, but I have no other choice." His tone filled with admiration. "Dear host, your love and dedication to this show are truly remarkable." An exclamation mark appeared on the TV. "Are you me?" Drawing on his corporate experience, Kim Solium flashed a practiced smile and spilled out effusive praise. Visually, the stage strikes a balance between trendy and lavish. Its color palette and style follow a clear, consistent concept. As for the hosting, this is a variety show whose flow shifts in real time based on audience reaction. Combined with your charismatic commentary, you've created a show people can't tear their eyes away from. His smooth, flowing compliments made him secretly pat himself on the back. My flattery truly knows no bounds when facing death, huh? A beaming, cheerful icon popped up. Zhao was genuinely pleased and replied, "The praise is so warm I'm embarrassed. I don't even know what to do. The broadcast is something we all make together. You're part of it too." Hearing that, Kim Solium could only force a smile and say, "Thank you, but actually I disagree inside. No, that's not really what I meant." Finally, he got to the point. "Because I truly like your show. It's a pity it changed so drastically like that. That's the direction I want to aim for." With his understanding, Kim Solium offered observations. "The live band's presence has been significantly reduced, and the penalties are gone. And you're even using canned applause instead of real audience reactions. It no longer feels like the talk show I knew." He recalled the moment he surveyed the space. The waiting room is supposed to be the host's private area. Its walls are plastered with talk show posters from live broadcasts that interacted directly with the audience. So it felt like the whole show had been overhauled to cut costs. What's the reason for this total change? Kim Solium looked toward the pig-headed guy. Could it be because of that guest? There's a high chance the host hates the current format. The hum of electricity sounded, and he only said one line. That's not something a contestant should worry about, which made him feel awkward. "I'm sorry." Turning his face aside, Kim Solium forced a long string of words with a strained smile. "Honestly, I'm a huge fan of the third quiz show. I've wanted to appear on it for a long time. I think my disappointment when it was canceled made me blurt out nonsense." Zhao chuckled and said, "Ah, I appreciate hearing that." Placing his hand on the TV frame, he said one thing: the entertainment industry is ruthless. If viewers prefer this format, recognizing that and adapting quickly is part of being an entertainer. Kim Solium put a hand to his chest and said sincerely, "But I preferred your earlier show, sir, dear host." The third quiz show used to interact with each audience member in real time and delivered stories that felt truly alive, at least to me as a viewer. I liked the old version much more. Your performance skills really are top-notch. No, forget it. I just got carried away by the live broadcast earlier and let personal emotion take over. The TV screen seemed to glitch all over. With a loud announcement sound, Zhao snapped back to normal, 60 seconds until filming resumes. Everyone, return to your position. He spoke the time number. I'm all set. The heads still lie intact on the platter. A scoreboard displayed 100, and the show continued. A memory of the previous conversation surfaced. By the way, what animal is your mask? The team leader over there answered. A lizard. A spotlight shone straight down on Park Minseon. The MC's excited voice rang out. And now, it's finally time for your answer. His eyes drooped, the corner of his mouth tilted up, forming a melancholy smile. At that moment, Kim Solium leaned in and whispered to get his attention. Assistant director. You know very well that the deputy manager probably meant to say, I didn't know. Because of the horrific scene just now, being burned to ashes is still preferable to becoming a human instrument reduced to a single head that repeats the same phrases forever. But he insisted, answer correctly. Park Minseong gaped in panic. It's still too early to give up. Zhao kept pressing. He said, I'll give you 3 seconds. He looked like he was wrestling with his thoughts. Finally, he still gave the correct answer. Number 4 burns. He shouted happily, exactly right, and turned to tell the conductor. Now quickly escort him to the glorious chorus. And turned to tell the conductor. Now quickly escort him to the glorious chorus. Kim Solium's earlier words surfaced. You mean if I use the team leader's special equipment, I can get inside the ghost store? Lee Ki-hun confirmed. Yes, but there are drawbacks. The passage created by that gear can only send small objects through. He nodded and added his suggestion. That's enough instead. Use all your strength, split the cart in 2, and throw it as hard as you can. A blinding light appeared between those 2 distances. Something hurtled toward the conductor with terrifying force. It collided with other objects and fell. It's a walkie-talkie battery. Kim Solium's eyes narrowed. Just as I thought. My hunch was right. If it's a battery, a lizard is. Even if you're trapped inside a ghost story, physical exorcism still works. A Team D member nicknamed Lizard, former rank, team leader, one of the few combat specialists on the field investigation team, is often recorded in the archives as someone who used brute strength to get through ghost stories that usually demand wit and creativity. Isn't his brain suffering because his body lacks one? Of course it might not work if we attack the commander directly, but what we're aiming for is the commander's instrument. If an A-class ghost story commander is stopped, even the host won't be able to continue. If I can disrupt the show's flow even for a moment, the cheerful host repeated, now, Commander, please turn our correct answerer into a member of the chorus. But when he saw the guy not reacting, he had to call repeatedly. Commander, the contestants and the audience are waiting. But the conductor only craned his neck upward. Commander. At that moment, it was torn apart, and the sickening sound of cracking bones echoed across the stage. From the commander's ripped maw, there spurted streams of bright red fluid and blackish vapor. Witnessing this terrifying sight, Kim Solium tensed up, his mind shaken by a huge shock. The others recoiled in horror at Zhao's fury. What the hell did you do? He's lost all courtesy. What do you think you're doing? Ripping everything apart. It's crawling, it's crawling. I did something terrible. Absurd, I've committed a crime. Do you see it? I'm singing a wrong judgment. Whispers rose. This is hell, this is hell, this is hell. Blood splattered across the TV screen with no icon. Zhao's hand rose. You do not respect this show. With a snap of his fingers, the conductor was consumed by searing flame. Kim Solium's words popped into his head. Just as I thought, entertainment should never rely on flashy guests. It must always stay true to its core values. The thrill of witnessing. The joy of being connected. The thrill of not knowing what will happen next. The anticipation while waiting for the next moment. You producers don't understand any of that. You're not worthy of making a show. Zhao stood before the flames and declared. Kim Solium's gaze fixed on the MC. But the spotlight fell on Zhao, the talented host. I can do it. Something's wrong. The host should only be D rank, yet he just burned an A-class ghost story to ashes. A pristine white handkerchief was produced. This wasn't in my plan. Zhao's voice rang out. He gently wiped the blood from his handsome face. Thank you. Thanks to you, I've found a new vision. You have the talent of a creator. From now on, I want to see you more often. When the next broadcast is ready, I'll definitely invite you. But the scene around them shifted as Team D returned to the office. They all stared at one another in bewilderment. We made it. We're alive. The two gleefully hugged the team's youngest. Kid, you're amazing. What a crazy man. His hand clutched the glass vial. I'm alive, I escaped. Yoon-hae startled and gasped. Your collector, that blazing golden light. It's A-class. He stared at it in amazement. You conquered an A-class darkness just 2 days after joining, seriously. The day after Kim Solium survived those 2 grueling days of work. What are his rookie colleagues up to? The computer screen displayed the message. Welcome employee Go Young-yoon. Go Young-yoon wiped sweat from her brow and thought. Cleaned 2 E-rank darknesses for 66 points. In just 3 days, that's pretty good for a rookie, right? They say an average newbie clears only 1 or 2 a week, doing their best to adapt to this crazy company. Although the seniors assigned to the team aren't exactly friendly, she sat in front of the monitor and breathed a sigh of relief. At least they aren't excessively harsh about old ghosts bullying new ones. Go Young-yoon nervously encouraged herself inwardly. The points needed to redeem a wish ticket are a colossal 500,000 points. It could take a lifetime to amass, but I'll do it. Then she curiously wondered to herself whether the other rookies felt the same way. When she glanced at the group chat on her phone, Go Young-yoon flinched and remembered. The thought popped up, we should invite Kim Solium too. Maybe I should contact him via the company's internal messenger. Suddenly, a message notification chimed, surprising her. Messages popped up in the group chat one after another. Members in the group chat buzzed excitedly. Did you see the announcement just posted? Does anyone here know employee Kim Solium? Helped clear an A-class darkness. What does that mean? You mean that weird guy with the horned mask? Go Yong-yoon felt overwhelmed reading. And then she exclaimed in surprise. What? Someone marked the 5th day on the calendar with a flame sticker. The moment of Park Min-seong and Yoon-hae hugging Kim Solium replayed. Just then Park Min-seong's voice rang out. Hey, everyone's saying you should be promoted to assistant manager immediately. Kim Solium, who was taking recovery medicine, startled at the comment. He squinted and smirked, but word is other departments objected because this has never happened before. He hesitated, replied, yes, and secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Good thing they object. After escaping the third game show, they were taken to the medical room and given emergency medicine. Blood flowed from their eyes, ears, nose, and mouth. At the same time, Kim Solium told himself, at least we're still alive. After escaping the third game show, they were taken to the medical room and given emergency medicine. Blood flowed from their eyes, ears, nose, and mouth. At the same time, Kim Solium told himself, at least we're still alive. Then he blushed and exclaimed, being alive is truly wonderful. Thanks, Hyung. Park Min-seong cheerfully offered my treat to thank you, so eat as much as you like. When he looked at the pastries laid out, he immediately declined. No, thank you. Meanwhile, Kim Solium thought to himself that honestly the dark exploration notebook did all the work. Yoon-hae, displeased, gripped the paper. It's not that we're useless seniors, it's just that we let our guard down because it's marked D rank. He heard that and dryly admonished Park Min-seong that excuse sounds pathetic. She declared sternly, radiating menace, then I'll prove it in the next darkness. Kim Solium, exhausted, silently prayed, I wish there were no next darkness. Suddenly Yoon-hae wondered aloud, hey, this incident is unprecedented. How was it reported up to senior management? Meanwhile, Park Min-seong asked, can I have a glass of water? He, sitting opposite, honestly replied, I asked around but no one seems to know. She took a sip and squinted, commenting that she really wished their team leader would push harder on this, but he's not that kind of person. Kim Solium suggested, then promote yourself and do it. Deputy leader Yoon-hae sighed tiredly, I'd quit before that happens. Kim Solium agreed inwardly, I wish I could too. Suddenly, a notification sound from her phone made her glance over in surprise. Then Yoon-hae announced, the team leader's meeting just ended, he's passing by. Hearing that, he thought in surprise, finally I'll get to see his face. Team leader Lee Ki-hun, one of Daydream's most famous figures in the Dark Exploration Notebook. The one responsible for that epic team carry using pin AAA on the third game show. Team D staff, Aka Lizard. At that moment, the door suddenly opened. Park Min-seong sprang to his feet. Team leader, you're back. Kim Solium beside him also stood up in surprise. He half expected Lizard's true identity. Lee Ki-hun in lizard form spoke up. Hello. Kim Solium was utterly disappointed. A real lizard, of all things. While he was still bewildered, the man cheerfully added, our rookie happened to be here waiting too. Sweat poured from Kim Solium. He thought grimly that no human could actually be a lizard. He must be suffering a nervous breakdown from that TV MC. My brain's probably mistaking the MC's mask for a lizard head. The mask, his gaze immediately fixed on the mask hanging at the hip. Kim Solium, drenched in sweat, thought, it's hanging from his waist. Just then Yoon-hae said, Hyung, this is team leader Lee Ki-hun. Say hello. He wondered, baffled why everyone was so calm when his head clearly looked like a lizard's. Park Min-seong smugly speculated that Hyung must be shocked by the leader's handsomeness. He doesn't even look like one of us, he added. Kim burrowed into panic, shouting, someone please tell me this is a joke. Suddenly Lee Ki-hun called out, startling Kim Solium. Hyung. Lee Ki-hun narrowed his eyes and greeted in a low voice. Can you see me? That sharp gaze seemed to pierce right through him. He stammered and nodded. Yes. Then Kim Solium used every emergency improvisation skill he had to explain. My eyes aren't injured. My vision is completely normal. Only to find Lee Ki-hun staring at him with bloodshot red pupil. Then Lee Ki-hun clasped his hands behind his back. I see. His heartbeat slowing, he breathed inwardly. Good, sounds natural. Control your expression. Control your expression. Next, Kim Solium, terrified, reminded himself mentally that judging by the atmosphere, everyone else seemed to be seeing a perfectly normal human head. I don't know why he looks reptilian only to me, but don't let it slip out. Meanwhile, Lee Ki-hun spoke sternly. Now, to get to the main point, I'll explain the conclusions regarding this incident. First, the trigger of this incident was the intrusion of another team. An immediate question arises. How did they end up in the same supernatural mess? Then Lee Ki-hun revealed in a low voice that the third game show had been assigned twice due to an admin error. Ding Ding smacked his forehead and winked apologetically. No wonder everything felt so rushed. Team D had started their postcards around the same time, but stepped out midway, creating roughly a 50-minute gap. Lee Ki-hun wondered if they stopped halfway to buy coffee for the rookie or something. Those guys are oddly doting toward their members. Without another team to cross-verify the event, and given an initial survival rate of a relatively high 43%, it couldn't be convincingly proven that that darkness deserved an A rank. So Lee Ki-hun stated that the request to reclassify the third game show as A rank was denied. Yoon-hae and Park Min-seong both blurted, "What?" Then they took turns questioning him. "Are you kidding me?" An entire team was wiped out. The Dream Collector's fluid is A rank colored. Lee Ki-hun shrugged and explained that they claimed it's sometimes possible to extract higher-grade fluid from a lower-ranked darkness in special cases. Yoon-hae, furious, spun toward the door. "All right, I'm mad now. I'm going to talk to them myself." Park Min-seong hurriedly blocked her. "Deputy, wait a sec." He grabbed the enraged Yoon-hae and turned back, puzzled. "They collected all the A-grade fluid. Is this really going to be recorded as a D-rank achievement?" Lee Ki-hun immediately denied it. "No." Then Lee Ki-hun said that considering the unique circumstances and the fact this expedition was equivalent to an A-rank campaign, a separate compensation had been approved. Kim Solium squinted and thought inwardly. In other words, take this and stop whining. Lee Ki-hun continued, specifically for the third game show, a one-time bonus equivalent to completing an A rank will be awarded. Each participant will receive 30,000 points. The two who had been arguing froze, and Lee Ki-hun added, "And for Kim Solium, who contributed the most to the completion, he will be given an additional 10,000 points, totaling 40,000 points." Park Min-seong couldn't contain his excitement and shouted, 30,000 points right away. Yoon-hae happily whistled. "I can practically hear my resignation date getting pulled forward by 3 years." But then she sadly lowered her voice. "But points aren't transferable. That's a bummer." Park Min-seong wiped sweat in agreement. "Really, you basically did almost everything yourself." Kim Solium hurried to reassure them. No, it's fine." Kim Solium thought to himself, "Actually, it's better there won't be an official A-rank completion on record. A lightning-fast promotion would just dump me into even bloodier ghost stories. Never forget the warning that popped up. This is a world where you can die at any moment." He continued, "As for the points others get, honestly, even if they were transferable, I doubt they'd hand them over to me." Park Min-seong smiled expectantly and urged, "Hyung, check your points right now." They're the kind of people willing to do a job where people regularly die just to accumulate a wish ticket. Of course, they each have their own goals. Yoon-hae squinted. "I showed you how to register points last time, right?" And Kim Solium confirmed inwardly that here, points are pretty much the same as life. When they saw 40,100 on the screen, they immediately got excited. It had really been deposited. Kim Solium was stunned. An E-rank clear used to be worth only 100 points, and unlike before, this was a 5-digit number not split among team members. "I completed 8% of a wish ticket in one go." Yoon-hae and Park Min-seong exchanged a knowing glance. Then Yoon-hae looked over, leaving Lee Ki-hun puzzled. She spoke up, "So since we all survived, and also earned a massive amount of points." Yoon-hae, card glowing in hand, raised an eyebrow. "Let's go use it." Deng Deng and Ding Ding chimed in unison. Behold the marvels of Daydream Corp Tech. On the screen was info about a new product, the Field Exploration Team's first aid kit. It's the reactive substance called Vigor Drug in Ghost Stories, a basic recovery medicine used after injury, tasting like cough syrup. At the partnered cafe, it tastes like cherry juice. Inside, the eatery warm light spilled through the window. Kim Solium offered, "Let me grill." Park Min-seong frowned and said, "Hey, who lets the rookie hold the tongs at the team's first feast? You'll be working hard later, so eat to your heart's content today." Kim Solium, a bit annoyed, frowned and thought, "I'm not trying to be polite." Seeing Lee Ki-hun's lizard-like appearance in front of him, he panicked inwardly. "I just need to find somewhere else to look." But he thought, at least this confirms others don't see that lizard face. Kim Solium took a sip of alcohol, closed his eyes and mused. The vibe of tonight's party isn't so bad. A little booze helps melt away the tension too. Then he confided inwardly, "Lately my soirees have all been about buttering up clients. How long has it been since I had a peaceful meal like this?" Suddenly a voice rang out, "Hyung." Kim Solium looked up and replied, "Yes." Lee Ki-hun narrowed his eyes and asked, "Aren't you going to use the 40,000 points you earned this time?" He flinched and immediately answered, "Yes, I'm saving points to buy a wish ticket." Yoon-hae smirked. "Who's the rookie holding the grill tongs at the first team feast?" Park Min-seong across the table wiped sweat and forced a smile. "Hey, senior." And Lee Ki-hun, hearing the answer, nodded slightly. "I see." The conversation seemed to hit a dead end. After a moment, Kim Solium asked, "Do you have any tips on how to spend points?" Lee Ki-hun answered in a low voice, yes. He tiredly thought it felt like he'd unlocked the lizard's control panel. At the same time, text appeared. To receive an answer from the lizard, enter the command. Kim Solium squinted and wondered aloud with a hint of humor. What should I spend them on, huh? Lee Ki-hun across from him stayed silent, not saying a single word. Then Lee Ki-hun spoke, customized gear. Hearing that, he squinted, thinking he hadn't expected the topic to come up here. One of the main characteristics of Daydream Corp employees is exclusive equipment. Even if you fall into a ghost story, you still have to go to draw comics for Carrot Studio. Songnayang, originally by Baek Deoksu, as everyone knows, is a company that throws its employees into terrifying ghost stories to harvest reagents from them. This raises a question. In high-level ghost stories, wouldn't everyone die and leave no reagents to harvest? The solution to that problem is this setup. The higher your rank, the stronger exclusive gear you possess. And that is the customized exclusive gear. Of course, this gear won't grant you power on par with entities in the ghost story. Think of it as a slight boost to certain stats. But because this gear is purely intended for ghost story exploration, the details are pretty vague. He only knows part of the setup himself. Park Min-seong cheerfully explained as they walked. This is the annex right next to the company's main building. It's where we quarantine and store relatively safe and useful ghost stories. For example, remember the radio in our office? That ghost story forecasts your luck for the day. This is where we carefully select such useful ghost stories. At that moment, Yoon-hae turned and added, the company calls them Twilight Grade. Twilight Grade, officially they're classified as E-rank ghost stories, but some are more useful and stronger than D-rank or less dangerous than E, so they have their own label. Lee Ki-hun said in a low voice, customized gear can also be crafted using some Twilight Grade dark abysses owned by the company. Yes, they'll craft it using a ghost story. He listened and mused to himself. If I remember correctly, the Twilight Grade ghost stories the field investigation team uses to craft gear are the Toy Maker in the Mary Lab, QTRW E07 Kind Seed Kit, QTRW E99. They perform this ritual QTRW E404. Those three, I don't know which one they'll use. Kim Solium glanced at the backs of Lee Ki-hun and Yoon-hae and was briefly surprised, thinking there he is. Seeing Park Min-seong beside him getting excited made him a bit curious. Kim Solium looked at the hooded figure before him and wondered inwardly if that was an employee. At the same time, he stepped forward with a crooked smile. We're Team D from the Field Investigation Unit, here to train a rookie. We'd like to request access to Twilight Dark Abyss number 99. The mysterious person said nothing, but gave a slight nod. Right then, a loud sound came from the adjacent door. His sullen expression was reflected in that person's glasses. In front of them stretched a corridor that seemed to have no end. They approached a door, and a voice said in unison, "We've arrived." The iron door opened on its own, echoing throughout the space. Kim Solium stood there with an expressionless face. He was slightly curious and thought to himself that before them was a machine called the Kind Seed Kit. Park Min-seong winked happily and explained, our department pretty much has exclusive rights to use this dark abyss. If you put 2 items in, it mixes them and creates something new. Kim Solium asked curiously, and do you need points to use this? He immediately nodded. Yes, the Twilight Grade dark abysses stored in this annex all require a fee to activate. Then Park Min-seong said, for this, the cost is 1,000 points per use. He flinched at the price. Kim Solium hesitated and asked, if that's gear necessary for ghost story exploration, shouldn't the company pay for it? Kim Solium hesitated and asked, if that's gear necessary for ghost story exploration, shouldn't the company pay for it? Then he asked curiously, so what do you want to do about it, Hyung? He was silently wincing inside at the thought of burning a whole 1,000 points like that. But team leader Lei must have a reason to call it useful. If an employee with a high survival rate gives specific advice, following it to boost your early survival odds is the smart move. Kim Solium squinted and made up his mind. I'll try it right now. Park Min-seong cheerfully piped up. Good, as the deputy said earlier. If you put 2 items into this dark abyss, it will create a new item that combines their properties. So ideally, the materials you use should have some handy special abilities. Don't worry, your items won't be permanently annihilated. Kim Solium nodded. Okay. At the same time, a thought popped up. I've read all about this in the expedition logs. He raised an eyebrow and reminded himself, even if you don't have anything flashy now, don't panic. Our team has a tradition of lending gear to help you craft your first piece, or you can pay a fee to rent someone else's. Suddenly he looked at Lee Ki-hun and made a small request. Also, team leader, your gear is clearly the best among us. Would you mind letting us see it? Lee Ki-hun said nothing and gently slipped his hand inside his jacket. Lee Ki-hun took out his gear and calmly explained, a butter knife blade. If I use this to cut the intermediary leading into the dark abyss, it severs space and lets me pass small objects through. Kim Solium eyed the keen blade and realized, so that's how you tossed me the radio battery in that third game show. He thought to himself, if only it were defensive gear, that'd be great, but it doesn't seem to be. Then he curiously asked, what about you too? Park Min-seong scratched his cheek, blushed, and laughed. Me, mine helps me with odd jobs. Yoon-hae raised an eyebrow. It was the button she'd seen on the game show. Kim Solium, seeing their gear, thought, so neither of them has defensive gear either, and I might find something similar at that alien shop. In that case, he said seriously, I want to borrow the team leader's gear. Lee Ki-hun's butterknife blade was placed on the kind seed kit. Kim Solium stared at it intently, not taking his eyes off it for a second. Then Yoon-hae spoke. Now you just need to choose the items you want to put in here. But she warned sternly, just absolutely never put a real plant in. The sensor at the entrance will filter them out anyway, but better safe than sorry. Hearing that, Kim Solium thought to himself, come to think of it, all the weeds around here are fake plastic plants. With a sullen face, he frowned and realized inwardly, I remember now. In the Dark Abyss expedition log, the kind seed kit entry under 2 editing reads, Employee A pulled up a weed near the abyss thought to be a dandelion and put it into the device twice. The result was an aberration that burst out with a horrifying scream. Security forces took 7 days to subdue it. All 3 on site, including Employee A, were confirmed dead. All plant life was exterminated. Note, repetition will result in disciplinary action and dismissal. Yes, that was the very law. Lee Ki-hun then slowly stepped forward and pointed to the remaining slot. We usually put convenient everyday items in. Supernatural traits may transfer only faintly or not at all. I accept that risk. At the same time, Kim Solium slid his hand into his pocket to fumble for something. I've quietly gone through my whole inventory since we came in here. A thought flashed through his head. I'm carrying quite a few supernatural items on me. The smiling sticker, the classification smile, the highest tier item among them would be. Kim Solium pulled out the silver snake coin he'd bought at the Space Mall and declared, I want to use this. Lee Ki-hun eyed it with curiosity. And what's that? He clenched the coin and smirked. Just a souvenir from a trip. I've got a good feeling about it. Yoon-hae looked it over and nodded. Easy to carry, too looks sturdy. Kim Solium, sweating nervously, wondered inwardly if the lizard would recognize it as an item. But then he thought, this world is full of ghost stories, so carrying 1 or 2 petty supernatural trinkets isn't a big deal. I'll just say I don't know what it is, he told himself. After he put the coin in, a red light lit up on the kind seed kit. A warning immediately appeared. Do not insert your hand. Please provide caregiver information. Kim Solium thought, aha, this is why it's called homemade gear. Like asking someone to tend a plant, the device scans the owner's genetic info. After a moment, it finished scanning, combining genetic data, creating the toolset. A stream of blue light shot from the kind seed kit, making Kim Solium squint one eye. A completion chime rang, and Lee Ki-hun calmly said, congratulations on your first homemade gear. Deputy Yoon-hae looked at Kim Solium and warned sternly, try out your new weapon at home. It's easy to forget, but remember, we're still in a ghost story right now. Then she tilted her head and smiled. You did well today, rookie. You must be exhausted. Get some rest. See you tomorrow. Cut to the sound of the door closing. He sat down, rummaged through his jacket, and replied in a low voice, yes, ma'am. The 2 items were used in the gene combination process of the seed kit. One was team leader Lee Ki-hun's butterknife blade, and the other was the silver snake coin bought from the alien shop, used as the parent item. The weapon crafted by combining those 2 items was. Kim Solium looked at the coin weapon in his hand and furrowed his brow, wondering to himself, but how am I supposed to use this? Is it that the gacha failed and spat out a toy coin or something? He flipped the coin over and squinted, thinking, told you so. Then Kim Solium calmly tossed it up. If it's a coin, maybe you use it like this. The coin weapon spun once in midair, and from one face of it, an invisible hand appeared. The hand from the coin weapon seemed to reach out toward him. Kim Solium, witnessing this bizarre sight, broke into a cold sweat and wondered inwardly, what on earth is this? The hand wrote a line of text in midair. He jumped and muttered, insert coin. Would a 101 coin work? At that moment, a notification popped up, donation of 101 from Kim Solium. The disdainful hand flicked the coin away, and Kim Solium sighed inwardly, no good. Next he said, then let's try a 501 coin. The hand cheerfully snatched it up, and he immediately realized it was all about the denomination. Suddenly the hand lunged out, making Kim Solium break into a cold sweat in surprise. He watched as it gently placed the coin into his left hand. Kim Solium was a little dazed, thinking to himself, it sank into my hand and fused right away. Then he glanced at the black thing on the floor, hesitating as he considered it and nodding the strange sensation. At the same time, Kim Solium lightly moved his hand. The black hand on the floor moved in response. Seeing this bizarre sight, he froze in astonishment. Then Kim Solium pressed his lips together and looked down, thinking, is this the ability of this homemade gear? It follows my hand. Guess you could call it a third hand. If so, an image of a pen busily writing popped into his head. Before him, he saw himself sitting at a distance, making hand motions as if writing. Kim Solium put the pen down and wondered, the force and precision are almost identical to my real hand. Could I actually use it to write? Then a string of ideas surfaced, opening and closing doors, even prying open a box lid using force. The range seems to be about 3 meters. I could even turn off the lights without getting out of bed. He looked at the black hand and said softly, the duration appears to be about 5 seconds. Then Kim Solium pondered. It's different from team leader Lee Ki-hun's butterknife blade that crosses the boundary between reality and darkness. But on the plus side, it seems much easier to use in ghost stories. At least I won't have to touch suspicious objects myself anymore. He smugly affirmed to himself that this gacha pull had been a success. Kim Solium leaned back on the bed and reminded himself, if 501 buys 5 seconds of telekinetic object moving, that's a steal. Better work hard to justify the 1,000 points I spent. In a dreamy state, he continued his thoughts. My physical condition is surprisingly good, must be because things ended well. At least I'm lucky to have met kind people around me. Senior Park Min-seong, who didn't do anything reckless even when facing near death. Deputy Yoon Hae, who trusted a rookie and lent her gear at the decisive moment. Without her trust, I would never have received help from team leader Lee Ki-hun. I don't know how many more ghost stories I'll have to get through in the future. Strangely, I feel like I can handle it. Kim Solium closed his eyes and quietly thought, maybe I'll just endure this quiet. After all, that's what I've always thought. Cut to the next morning. Yoon Hae wiped sweat from her hand holding a cup of coffee and said, Rook, seems like our assignment is about to change. He looked a bit blank, not understanding what was happening. Yes. On the computer screen, Deng Deng and Ding Ding were sending smiling stickers back and forth. A task reassignment usually means a change in responsibilities or departments within a company. It happens when your years of service hit the annual threshold. In other words, Kim Solium, sweating profusely and turning pale, thought, I don't think this is something you should tell me on my third workday. She glared across and replied, I know, kid. Then Yoon Hae asked, have you seen the official notice? It was just posted today. He wondered dumbly, official notice, Q-Turwa 40. Q-Turwa 43 is the identification code for the third game show. To put it simply, Ding Ding cheerfully gave 2 thumbs up and said, a team solved a special incident and snagged an A rank. Impressive achievement. We're awarding that team 100,000 points. Deng Deng added excitedly, see, you can do it too. So just throw yourself into death like a moth to a flame. Dive headfirst into ghost stories to earn points. If you want a wish ticket, learn from Team D. Kim Solium read the line on his phone and mentally groaned. This is insane. He broke into a sweat and frowned. They've gone and exposed their identities. If our reassignment is because of that notice, what kind of job will this be? Yoon Hae, displeased, scowled and demanded, did you see it? I'm asking if you saw it. He hesitated and answered, yes. Then Kim Solium cautiously asked, do you mean we're being transferred departments? Is our whole team being reassigned? Park Min-seong thumped his head against the wall in disappointment, and she sighed wearily. It's not exactly a new assignment. Yoon Hae frowned and downed a big gulp of coffee. Our workload is only changing a bit. Then she said, so far we've mainly gone into ghost stories that already have complete guidebooks. Yoon Hae tore the paper in her hand and squinted as she declared, the abysses we're about to enter from now on won't have any guidebooks. She then stated sternly, that means they're throwing us into entirely new ghost stories with zero information. Kim Solium just sat there quietly watching the scraps of paper fall without saying a word. Yoon Hae kept grumbling, it's ridiculous. The better you do, the harder they make you work. All decisions come from those desk jockeys typing away in the office. At that moment, footsteps approached. Lee Ki-hun entered and spoke up, hello. Seeing him, she immediately shouted, boss, have you read the notice? They're sending us into abysses with no guidebooks. Aren't they basically telling us to go die? Lee Ki-hun tilted his head in confusion. No. Hearing that, both of them thought to themselves in disbelief. What? Is there really some loophole? Suddenly Lee Ki-hun's tone turned grave. People still die even in ghost stories that come with full guidebooks. They heard that and gloomily muttered inwardly, oh, is that so? Then he cautiously asked, but wouldn't it be even more dangerous without a guidebook? Lee Ki-hun shrugged and replied, I don't see much difference. Kim Solium thought to himself, That's exactly why the folks who clear ghosteries with brute force just ask straight away. Next he squinted and inquired, is there any benefit to this reassignment? Lee Ki-hun immediately nodded. Yes, you'll get extra points. At the mention of that, Park Min-seong and Yoon Hae immediately looked up. He hurried over and asked, a lot, boss. Lee Ki-hun nonchalantly nodded. A lot. Lee Ki-hun revealed, compared to an abyss of the same tier, it's worth 3 to 4 times as much. The multiplier can go up to 15 times. Their eyes glazed over at the enormous points and they began to whisper. 15 times, even if it's an E rank, times 15. Seeing them like that, Kim Solium thought helplessly. Their eyes look like gamblers, should I stop? But he frowned slightly and analyzed. Wait, calling this a gamble, it's a sure bet for me. Even without a guidebook, we still have exploration documents in the encyclopedia. In that case, isn't this basically a triple points event? Yoon Hae took the lead and said sternly, let's go. The thought followed, let's go earn points. The number on the screen showed 17. She announced at the same time, first, we'll head to floor 17. Floors 17 through 20 are mainly used by the development headquarters. More specifically, floor 17 is where researchers look for new abysses to study. Someone inside jumped in surprise when they saw them approach. The person looked at Kim Solium and asked curiously, is this the famous rookie everyone's been talking about? Kim Solium looked calm on the outside, but was internally squealing with joy. Am I being treated like a celebrity now? Somehow I feel like. They simply held out their hand. He hesitated, thinking this assignment wouldn't be easy. Jekang in front of him gave a slight, knowing smile. With that smile, Jekang reached his hand toward Kim Solium. He squinted, appraising him, and wondered inwardly, who is this? He said nothing, but kept that hospitable grin plastered on his face. Then Quack Jekang cheerfully introduced himself. I'm Quack Jekang from Research Team 1, nice to meet you. Kim Solium broke into a light sweat and thought to himself, Quack Jekang. Out loud he replied, yes, nice to meet you. I'm Kim Solium. When the man saw him shake his hand, he exclaimed in surprise, you're very polite, aren't you? After Quack Jekang left, Yoon Hae sneered quietly to Kim Solium. Don't get scared. He's just a low-level manager. Kim Solium awkwardly wondered inwardly, but aren't you the deputy team leader? He frowned slightly and thought, no, the surprising thing isn't that he's a manager. Then the man turned back, glanced, and smiled. Kim Solium continued thinking, it's that another well-known figure has shown up. Jekang waved cheerfully, an unusually warm and sociable display from staff. Though genuine, Kim Solium watched his back and thought, for now, just play dumb. Jekang beamed excitedly. We'll be seeing each other a lot from now on. Come on, team leader Lee Ki-hun. Lee, looking puzzled, murmured, yes. Suddenly, a prompt appeared requesting a response from Lizard. Please enter command. At the same time, Kim Solium asked curiously, can you tell us why? Lee Ki-hun replied casually, sure. He put on a face of not understanding. Jekang then explained in a lower tone, at Research Team 1, we study methods for entering new dark anomalies. Discovering new dark anomalies is the task assigned to Team D. Once Team D completes exploration of a new dark anomaly and reports it, an exploration guidebook is created based on that information. Hearing this, Kim Solium pressed his lips together and thought, in other words, this is the team that gives us the jobs. Right then, Jekang cheerfully said, all right then. Welcome members of Team D to the research team. Please take your Dream Mist collector. He tossed a packet of documents to Lee Ki-hun and instructed him to check civilians' escape records and the files of teams who entered before you. Yoon Hae, scowling, thought, that jerk isn't even field investigation staff, yet he spouts obvious things and plays the part. Park Min-seong, alarmed, whispered, Senior, your expression, watch your face. Suddenly a voice from behind made him glance back in surprise. Excuse me, sorry to bother you. Lee Jai pointed at Kim Solium and smirked. Want to bet on what rank it'll be? He looked puzzled. The guy cheerfully explained. I mean the new darkness. We like to make small bets and guess. You should try, it's fun. Kim Solium didn't hesitate and declined immediately. No, thanks. At the same time he thought to himself, what if we're inspected? No, wouldn't our direct superior stop it if that happened? At that moment Jekang laughed heartily. A little bet won't kill anyone, why so tense? Kim Solium was baffled and wondering if this was getting out of hand. After all, this is still a workplace, isn't it? Someone looked at his expression and remarked in surprise. Look, his face didn't even flinch, gutsy fellow, Kim Solium. Then Jekang calmly sat down and said, I'm kidding, just kidding. He glanced at the documents in his hand and grinned. This darkness isn't some death trap. Lots of civilians have gone in and come back out. The Disaster Management Bureau keeps demanding it be shut down. I heard the planning team had to work overtime to cover it up. At the same time, Park Min-seong suggested, come on man, you check the files too. He reached out and took the documents indifferently. All right. The thought flashed through his mind. What's important now is the new darkness we're about to enter. Right? What's important is that if this darkness has many civilian escape records, even in the worst case, it's probably only a D rank, so no need to worry. Suddenly Kim Solium, sweating slightly, squinted and thought, YouTube, huh? At that moment, Jekang pulled up a video and said, if you're ready, watch this. On the screen was a clown bopping along to creepy music. Suddenly he bared his teeth and gave a grotesque smile. The clown, clearly enjoying himself, burst into loud, raucous laughter. At that instant, Kim Solium seemed to feel red hands clutching at him. They looked like they wanted to pull him down. He thought to himself that this ghostery definitely was. Right then, Jekang removed his blindfold and gasped. Then he chuckled, safe travels. Hearing that, he panicked and shouted inside his head, hey, wait, please cancel the triple points event. I don't want to go in there. The clown's terrifying face appeared. Clowns hate you. In the frame was the distorted face of a clown. A ghost story unfolded in the ghostverse. Kim Solium was so scared he squeezed his eyes shut, then sweating, cautiously peered open one eye. A ghost story where you'll wander forever down an endless corridor hung with portraits of clowns. Look closely and it's not real clown makeup, but the stiff, forced smiles of people twisted grotesquely to resemble clowns. The longer you stay, the more warped and uncanny the portraits become. Those who vanish in this story become new clown portraits. Honestly, a horror movie or theme park this frightening is rare to see. Kim Solium showed no expression outwardly but inwardly grumbled, I don't need that, just the method of entry nearly scared me to death. Honestly, anyone would be scared here, not just me. Meanwhile, Yoon Hae squinted and remarked, it's not as dark as I expected, actually pretty decent. He was startled to hear that. At the same time, Park Min-seong eagerly suggested, Deputy, should we acclimate to the darkness a bit before moving? Lee Ki-hun calmly proposed, sure, please close your eyes for 60 seconds. He cheerfully replied, yes, team leader, 60 seconds. Kim Solium wondered dazedly, wait, are they serious? In a corridor full of creepy portraits, they actually suggest we close our eyes together for a minute. We don't even know what might happen. Yoon Hae then turned and said, hey, let's close our eyes a bit too. He obediently did so, thinking to himself, I guess they might be serious. These people, and even the lizard, basically don't know what fear is. They're the type whose adrenaline only spikes if they're literally about to die. The kind who never watch horror movies because they're just too boring. But what if those portraits start moving like they're alive? Wouldn't it be hard to stay calm then? She glanced at the paper in her hand and casually revealed, they say if you poke the portraits, they'll hop out and crawl after you. Park Min-seong added, and I heard some civilians actually came back through empty frames. Lee Ki-hun nodded calmly, I see. Then Lee Ki-hun said sternly, poke every portrait you see. The words hit Kim Solium like a bolt, while Park Min-seong answered excitedly, yes, team leader. If anything jumps out, I'll signal and start running immediately. Lee Ki-hun then said in a low voice, all right, we'll repeat the test attempts once every hour. Park Min-seong obediently replied, understood, team leader. Yoon Hae looked around and reassured them coolly. They said they crawl on all fours, right? Then they'll probably be slow, so we'll be fine. Park Min-seong cheerfully turned and grinned. Hey man, do you see that clown with the weird eyes up there? Looks just like that movie poster, huh? Kim Solium, who had his eyes closed, froze, and she softly said, you can open your eyes now, take a look. Flames suddenly burned within the clown portrait's eye. While he stood there paralyzed with fear, she said nonchalantly, the features match a missing civilian. I guess if you're lost here, you turn into that. Suddenly Park Min-seong calmly suggested, hey, do you want to try touching that one first? Kim Solium was silent for a moment, then said in a low voice, please wait a moment. He then raised an eyebrow and declared, I've found a way to get out of here. The three of them froze for a few seconds. Then Park Min-seong asked in bafflement, what? We've only been in here less than 5 minutes. He inwardly frowned, following the rule never to look back. There's only one way for a coward like me to survive. Let's go speedrun our way out of here. Kim Solium stared intently at the coin weapon in his hand. Then he flung it forcefully into the air. And instantly, a hand appeared waving hello. Yoon Hae looked at it skeptically and asked, is that equipment only for you? He nodded calmly. Yes, though we'll need a few more things. Next, Kim Solium took out numerous other 501 coins from his jacket pocket. The weapon hand couldn't hide its excitement when it saw the coin. It happily tapped his left hand lightly. Kim Solium then explained in a low voice, this hand is an effect of the custom weapon. If you insert a coin, you can control it remotely. She gasped, I get it. At the same time, Park Min-seong leaned in and asked, so that hand is necessary for the bypass method you thought of? He nodded immediately. Exact. Then Kim Solium said seriously, we don't have much time, so I'll summarize quickly. First, these portraits aren't just decorations. There's a single exact portrait among them in the center. He asked skeptically, "You mean the ones that jump out and crawl toward us when stabbed are the wrong ones?" Kim Solium answered, "Exactly." He looked at the three of them and instructed solemnly, "From now on, treat the portrait I describe as the correct one. When I give the signal, we'll run and find the portrait that matches that description." Next, Kim Solium glanced at Lee Ki-hun. "Team leader, are you really okay with this?" He silently pleaded, "Please, please." Lee Ki-hun didn't hesitate and nodded immediately. Yeah, he was a bit surprised, thinking to himself that the generous lizard was obedient to the rookie right away. "Thanks a lot." Park Min-seong stretched for a moment and said, "Following your lead can't hurt. It's been a while since I've actually had to scramble to keep up with you." At the same time, Kim Solium, drenched in sweat, thought, "Sorry, seniors, you actually don't even have to run. Escaping this urban legend is surprisingly easy. If you're brave, you can just stroll and poke the portraits along the way. But a coward like me can't do that." The clown said dazedly, "I just wanted to fit in with them." Yoon-hae asked in confusion, "Why are you lying there?" Park Min-seong was puzzled too at the sight. He'd been totally fine a moment ago, then suddenly collapsed dead. With a sharp look and a frown, he thought firmly that our only option is to run away as fast as possible. Time since Team D entered the darkness, 4 minutes 29 seconds. Kim Solium urgently shouted in his head, "Move, haunted house." Meanwhile, in the development room, Lee Jai curiously asked, "Manager Quack, what level do you think it is this time? Is Team D still the safest bet?" Jeking laughed at that. "Come on, Assistant Manager Lei, keep this betting talk within the development room, okay?" Then he warned sternly, "Don't mention it when other teams are around." The guy went pale and stammered, "Right." Lee Jai looked at Jeking and frowned, thinking, he usually just laughs and goes along, so why pick this moment to scold me? He ruined my mood. No, wait, the one who actually ruined my mood is someone else. That annoying rookie from the field investigation team. His name is Kim Solium, right? I was being nice and invited him to bet with us, and he dared to overshadow his boss. Lee Jai slammed the keyboard and gritted his teeth, muttering, "Just a human guinea pig. Who does he think he is to act so high and mighty?" His chat message appeared on screen. "I put 10 on D," and he smugly prayed this time the guy would die in the dark. Suddenly Jeking cheerfully reminded, "Assistant Manager Lei, remember to finish the preliminary report before you leave today." Lee Jai pouted and replied, Yes, he thought, "Why do they always make me do these things? Anyway, those guys won't make it out before quittin' time." He looked at the screen and sneered with contempt. "What idiots. If an ad looks suspicious, you should close it immediately. Why keep watching?" Then Lee Jai squinted and thought, "I guess a few people might get lucky and make it out alive." According to testimonies from previously reported surviving civilians, they returned to reality through an empty portrait that the clown had escaped. However, there's no info on which portrait is the correct one. The corridor's appearance, portrait sizes, frames, and each survivor's account all differ. So if you want to find an exit, the only way is to keep trying over and over. Wake the clown, shake him off, and sometimes kill him, until you're completely exhausted. He smirked with satisfaction. Because they don't know which portrait is the right one, they'll just run in circles in despair, sweating buckets. At least one or two of them will probably die this way, just drop dead already. While Lee Jai was still half thinking, Park Min-seong's astonished voice rang out, cleared the stage. Hearing that, he startled and turned his head, wondering, "Wait, what? How did this happen? Has so much time passed? Is it time to go home already?" At the same time, Yoon-hae offered, "Nice one. Hey, I'll buy you a coffee." Kim Solium hurriedly declined, "No, that's fine." Park Min-seong beside him grinned, "I'll get you some snacks." Lee Jai jumped and thought, only 26 minutes. They cleared the darkness and got out in under 30 minutes. Jeking, witnessing this, couldn't hide his excitement. Oh my god, how on earth did they get out so early? Did team leader Lee's usual smash-everything method actually work again? Lee Ki-hun calmly denied. "No," she proudly revealed, "our youngest did it all." Kim Solium, looking exhausted, reached up to remove his mask. "Glad to see them again." He exclaimed in surprise, "What happened to that rookie?" Yoon-hae replied matter-of-factly, "He was like that on his first day too." Jeking narrowed his eyes, sizing things up. Then he asked, "So would our new friend mind explaining the bypass mechanism?" Kim Solium, slightly surprised, answered, "Sure." First, the ad title that lured us into the darkness was "The Clown Hates You." He immediately nodded. "That's right." He continued, "But the silent stage clown Pierrot is different from the circus clown in Korea. It's a blind spot because both are simply translated as clown." He added, "But the silent stage clown Pierrot is different from the circus clown in Korea. It's a blind spot because both are simply translated as clown. However, a Pierrot is a French-style clown with monochrome makeup and a melancholy face." And then Kim Solium declared seriously that the name of this darkness was the clue. so I figured it would be the only one that wouldn't chase us. To test this hypothesis, we searched for a portrait with monochrome makeup. To be safe, we kept a 3-meter distance and touched the painting from afar. The silent Pierrot quietly vanished from the portrait. After recounting everything, he remained calm. That's all there is to it. Jekang, unable to hide his excitement, smirked to himself. In just 30 minutes, on his very first run inside, did he actually figure out such a clear bypass mechanism? Suddenly, he blurted out, "Wait." Then Jekang raised a question. "Records say lighting causes all the clowns to jump out. How did you distinguish the Pierrot's portrait in that pitch-black place?" Kim Solium, a bit surprised, hesitated and explained that. Anyway, team leader Lee Ki-hun also recognized it easily. He continued calmly, "Assistant manager Park Min-seong lent me his notebook, so I compiled a temporary handbook." Park Min-seong cheerfully said, "I can't take credit for it, it's all thanks to you, man." Jekang, smiling, reached out to take the pack. He flipped through the papers in his hand and said, "So you deduced all of this from preliminary information. Thanks to you, the handbook draft was completed instantly." Lee Jai now thought in horror, does this even make sense? That rookie escaped in 30 minutes under such harsh conditions. And yet he built a full-fledged hypothesis. Is that even a human, or some monster pretending to be one? He smirked and reminded, "Team leader, if you bring that thing out of the darkness, you'll have to hand it over." Jekang looked at the thing in his hands in surprise. It was. Kim Solium replied nonchalantly. Because the silent stage Pierrot in the portrait was about to run away, the team leader lunged straight at him. He was backing away too. He was stunned and thought to himself, are they a pair of monsters or what? At the same time, Kim Solium raised a question in his head. Looking closely now, both of them are pretty sharp and kind of look alike. Are they cousins or something? Suddenly Jekang asked, "Kim Solium, new guy, did you happen to get a business card?" He wondered curiously, "A business card?" Someone immediately explained. He's new, so he doesn't have a business card yet. Suddenly he curled his lip into a mysterious smile. "Kim Solium, you're pretty good at playing dumb, huh? Clearly I was talking about something else."